I'm excited for you to go over this course, and honestly this has been something I recorded. This used to be a paid course. It's gonna take your journey on Fiverr just from the beginning, as you will start it, as you will want to become a seller, or maybe if you're an existing seller want to take it to the next level. I'm gonna walk you through exactly step by step how it worked out for me building a seven-figure Fiverr business agency on Fiverr, and like this you'll be able to go from the first steps until how you can actually scale and build the operations of Fiverr. So enjoy. It's going to be multiple lessons. It's also divided into modules. I packed it in one piece of content which will hopefully help you with understanding the direction, understanding the things to do, and of course enjoy it. If you have any questions, you can always write in the comments, and let's get started with the first lesson. Let's start first with talking about the mindset. This is a very important part, and there are a lot of other people who are talking about mindset. In my case, I think it's super important because when you start something on Fiverr or any other things, you need to first of all give yourself a time, give yourself at least 3 to 6 months before you can make a decision to do something else or to maybe switch from that focus and do something different. But you need to be patient. Patience is the most important thing in everything you do. When I started in 2000, actually I started in 2015, 16, my first gigs, I didn't know what to do. So I was kind of confused, and I tried to, do this, do that, different gigs. I was doing logo design. I was also giving flyers on the street using Fiverr, which was a strange experience, but it eventually also was, a learning experience for me. But you need to be patient. You need to kind of like distract from, close yourself in a box and just eliminate all the distractions, because people will be telling you why you should not do it, why you're spending your time. You're gonna be seeing other experts who are talking about their own systems that you can be running your go high level. Probably have heard about this, right? There's a lot of things. I'm not saying that none of these things are working. They are working, but you need to just be very clear to yourself that you need to put just one focus and really focus on it 100%. Right now, my day, how it's looking like, for me, Fiverr is active. So I'm still putting a lot of effort every single day. Every single day I have messages to reply. I have orders that I need to, some orders will have some issues, we have some things that I need to take care of, right? So that's always happening on a daily basis. So I cannot just sit there and delegate all of my, let's say my work to someone else. There are certain things that I can only do. Of course, I can still delegate, but I like what I'm doing. So I'm delegating some other things. For example, we have fulfilling, we have a lot of content creation work, which is built as a system, because if I just do it myself, I won't be able to do everything, right? Because when we do content creation work, that could take the whole day and I won't be able to do anything else. So you need to learn that, you don't need to just go and start doing multiple things. With your Fiverr account, you can be making a living, right? And it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time in everything you do. So that's the very important thing to understand. But when you have, I think the good things about, let's say, having your Fiverr profile, first of all, it's a good social proof. When you build your reputation, when you build the reviews, right, they kind of like stay there always on Fiverr. So let's say if you're even applying, I remember when I was back at the university, I was applying for a job and I was sending my Fiverr profile, and they said, we like what you do there, we like what, your hustle on the platform, we're happy to offer you a position. So because when you have your website and you can put the reviews and everything, I mean, you can just write anything, right? You can really fake it, I mean, if you want to. So that's why when you have somewhere like Fiverr, like let's say Amazon, those places, and people write feedbacks, write reviews, other people know that, okay, this is legitimate place that, you can order your service and, you can leave a review and the review is gonna stay positive or negative. I do also get both positive reviews, negative reviews. Sometimes, I mean, of course, it's not happen very often to get negative review, but it could happen from time to time, and that's normal. You need to react appropriately. You need to understand that every person is different. You won't be able to satisfy everyone. The other important factor talking about this is to understand
when you're on Fiverr, you can have certain stress level at the same time, right? Because you might be worrying about those reviews, you might be worrying about that you do something that is, against terms of service. That's why I highly suggest, first of all, to spend some time and be fully compliant with the terms of service on Fiverr. The most important things you need to understand is that you cannot lead people from your Fiverr to outside, right? To ask their email or, to communicate there, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever you use. That's not allowed. That's the most important thing. The second most important thing is when you're delivering the work, when you're clicking on that deliver button, you need to make sure, because that's kind of like a proof of what you have done. Even though your service is maybe recurring, or maybe it's kind of like you have everything done already, but you're just delivering for the purpose of closing the order, you still need to submit everything. This is another important factor because Fiverr started to really taking closer look at what you're delivering, because many times people will start their order, they will deliver right away or deliver sooner than it should be, and then just to get their money, and then they will have issues. Fiverr will go at them and Fiverr will punish you. And when you are just getting started at the beginning, this is the most problematic thing, because you can get banned easily. When you start to build a reputation on the platform, when you start to become bigger, more reviews, a seller, higher level of seller, you will have a success manager. It's a bit different because these things are going to be discussed with your success manager, but of course, if you're not without success manager, if you're just getting started, Fiverr could just ban you right away. That's why it's extremely important to fill up your profile appropriately, fill up all the information, fill up your seller information, like your name, full name, not fake names or anything like that, your profile picture, your ID, like everything should be the real. Like you should go there as a real person, because the other things that you cannot do is you cannot change your username. So as soon as you start your username on Fiverr, you won't be able to change it. So you need to really come prepared before you clicking on the sign up as becoming freelancer, because when I did it, I didn't really think too much. So my username is kind of, maybe not, let's say, super related, but still somehow related. So I had to adjust throughout the journey, and I had to, change my Instagram username to have the same as Fiverr username. So like, let's say clients could, kind of understand that it's me, and then they can come from Instagram to my Fiverr account. So that's how I was trying to do it as well. But you can come more prepared, and you can learn from my mistakes, from my experience, and start your journey properly. Let's talk about the Fiverr search and everything that is related to ranking your gigs on Fiverr. This is the most important thing, because that's going to depend on your revenue, that's going to depend on how many orders you're going to be getting on Fiverr. And also, this is a very, very stressful topic, because a lot of sellers are always stressing about if I'm ranking on the Fiverr or not, if my gig is on the first page or in the last page. It's always a tricky part. So I would like to break it down, because I think it's important to start talking about this right away so you can have an understanding. And at the same time, if you're already selling on Fiverr, you can maybe see from my experience and just from my case how it's been working for me so far, and hear my thoughts about how you can improve your ranking too. So first thing, when we are looking on Fiverr, I'm gonna be in incognito on the Chrome, just so like this, I'm not logged in into my Fiverr account, and like this we can see, I would say, proper results of the search. First thing, when we go here, we're gonna see the first categories. You can see the categories, you can see different categories, and then under you can see a different subcategories as well. So when you look at the categories, depending on where your service you're gonna be listing, right? In our case, we are primarily looking for digital marketing, and you can see there are a lot of subcategories. From my case, I'm just listing my services in the social media marketing at the moment. I might be expanding in the future, because you have other categories, even not in digital marketing, but let's say like in the business, for example, you have a lot of other, like a business consulting, which you can do, could be very powerful as well. There's other things you can do. That's why I think Fiverr is great, because you have those different places that you can, come up with different services, and you can just test them and see if it's working or not. So I think this is super, super useful, because if I'm just on social media marketing and able to make, that much, let's say, revenue, and just getting that, much income from just one subcategory. Imagine what you can do with having your gigs in multiple and being ranked higher as well. So first thing, let's take a look at the social media marketing category. The first thing we go, when we appear in any subcategory, that's where your buyers will go, right? And they will be in the best selling. So best selling is by default the place where clients, your buyers will be looking for you, for your services. Of course, if you're ranked, for example, this is one of my gigs here on the second line, the first page. If you are, and it's always changing, right? But I see some gigs are consistently there, some gigs are changing from one page to another page, from one place to another place. But eventually, if you end up here, you're going to be having a lot of traffic, right? And we can actually take a look. So I'm going to show you. This is my gigs page, and right now you can see 5 gigs. So for example, this gig, which is on the first page, right? So you can see how it's been performing. So it's actually a very interesting drop I'm seeing here. Not sure why this happened, but it's possible, right? It sometimes could be a glitch, but you can see, for example, this gig has almost 500,000 impressions that we're currently looking, right? And it's just incredible. We have 7,000 clicks in total, orders almost, over 400,000, which is very incredible too. And you can see the cancellation rate, and you can see the subscription plan. That means the subscription is enabled. But let's take a look here, impressions. Let's take a look at the clicks as well. You can see there is every single day there is over 200 clicks for this service. Sometimes like we have 277 clicks here, which is very impressive too. Let's take a look at the orders as well. We can see, for example, 9 orders, 5 orders, right? So it's very consistent as well. You can see conversion rate too, which might be not super accurate, but still you have these metrics. So this is how it's looking, right? So let's go back here and just minimize it. The next thing with the Fiverr search, you need to understand that your gig will be always kind of up and down at the beginning. When you don't have reviews, when you don't have this sort of volume, you're gonna be all over the place. The other thing which I want to suggest when you create your gigs, if you take a look at this criteria, you have over 100,000 services available. This is a very high number. That means there's a very high competition. If we go, for example, into the influencer marketing, you can see there are over 7,000 services available, right? So it's not 100,000, it's 7,000. So it's a big difference. And that means, for example, if you're starting with some services, I highly encourage you to look into this, because you can be ranked here. And that means you have much higher chances to be ranked in the top with a lower number of services than higher, of course, right? We can also take a look, for example, let's say paid social media. It's a bit more, right? But still not as 100,000. Let's take a look at, for example, local SEO, just to compare, 10,000, right? So these are important metrics, because if you're just getting started, it's going to be important, because if you are on the higher, let's say in the first, second, third page, of course, you can get there with the higher chances than if you are listing yourself in the social media marketing with over 100,000 services. So this is one important factor to understand, be able to differentiate the subcategories and analyze and see which eventually subcategory is a great fit for you. But eventually, you need to have a gig as well in the social media marketing, because that has a lot of traffic and has a lot of potential for you. The other things I just want to show here is when you start your gig here, you can see also recommended, and in the recommended section, you also can end up, and I have multiple gigs here, which is pretty incredible. Actually, I have a lot of gigs here ranked, and of course, that's going to be giving you traffic too. That's going to give you traffic, that's going to give you exposure. So that's also another part of ranking your gig in the recommended section. And then if you are just a new seller, you're gonna end up here. And of course, even when I'm looking at this new seller category, the biggest issue I see is that I see all these photo stock images of the gigs, right? And you can just immediately see that this is not a person behind the Fiverr account, right? So you need to, not all of them, of course, maybe there are some that there is a person behind, but still, it's a very tricky place, and you can see right away how you can differentiate yourself. Not all of them have a gig video. I would say pretty much, maybe all of them don't have a gig video, and the gig video is extremely important because that's a personalization, that's your credibility, social proof right away. So you need to have the video of your gigs. That's important part, right? But you can see, you can learn from others. That's why I think Fiverr is great, because you can learn from others and you can also see which services are performing better, what they're doing, and kind of like not copy from them, but you can model from them. You can just learn from them and you can create your own version of it. Okay, so let's take a look and discuss about ranking on Fiverr and what criteria matters for that. The first thing, when you go, for example, let's take a look at my gig here. We go to the gig page and we go scroll down and we see the feedbacks, right? This is the public feedback that buyers can leave to your services. What does it mean is that public feedback, it does matter. It does matter, and the most important is also how many public feedbacks you're getting on the weekly basis. If you're not getting any feedback, of course you are not going to be ranked as high. If you're getting, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 public feedbacks every single week, that's already have more chances, because that means the gig is active, that gig, the clients are coming back, or maybe clients are ordering your gig, right? So it means that the gig is active. So Fiverr is going to be automatically pushing your gig in the search much higher. The other thing to understand is that besides public feedback, you have private feedback. Private feedback, it's a very important factor. It's the most important factor, because when the clients rank you, let's say rate you in the public feedback, they might be super happy, they might be everything is good, but then Fiverr will send them a message saying like, hey, please share your private feedback, which is not going to be shared with a seller. Like this, we want to learn more, understand if the service matches the description, if the service is actually a service that they are claiming, and etc., right? And the private feedback is the factor for your search ranking, right? So what they can do, they can, of course, it's going to be saying, is this value, 100%, let's say, you paid $100, do you feel satisfied? Do you think you received the value for $100? And they will say, very satisfied, satisfied, somewhat satisfied, not satisfied, right? And these sort of questions that they ask privately will matter how your gig is going to go and be ranked. Of course, there are a lot of buyers who just skip and don't leave any private feedback. The same with public feedback, they just skip, especially when you have clients who are coming back. Most of the time they will rate you once, and then when they come back to you, order your service, they're not going to be rating you every single time, right? Unless you do this trick where you can ask for the feedback. And be careful, because you cannot ask for 5-star feedback or say, can you please rate me amazingly, or can you just put 5-star? You cannot do that. This is another important point to remember, because by doing so you can get banned for life, right? So it's a very important thing. But what you can do is that you can ask for a feedback, meaning that you're not asking for 5-star feedback, but you're asking them to rate your order, right? So that means you can say, for example, hey, thank you so much, let's say, for your order. Once again, I'm attaching the delivery, blah, blah, blah. And then you can say, I would highly appreciate if you can take your time and review this order. This will help me grow my business on Fiverr, and also, let's say, improve my quality and help others as well know better about my service. Thank you for considering, right? I'm giving you just sort of ideas that you can do, but this is what you can write. Just ask for feedback. It's not against. You cannot ask for 5-star, but you can ask them to encourage. The other factor which you cannot do, you cannot tell them, please provide private feedback. You cannot specify this. So be careful. Keep it generic. Keep it, for example, just, hey, can you keep it generic. So I will appreciate if you can leave a feedback for this order. That's it. Don't say, please leave private feedback so it will help me get higher ranked. This is also against. I've been checking that myself personally. I have done this. I'm asking for a feedback. I'm not asking for 5-star. I'm just asking, I'll appreciate if they can leave a feedback. That's it, right? It's not against. So remember these things, because they are extremely, extremely important. And then once you start getting these messages first, clients ordering, this all gonna come together. But this is the first factor about the Fiverr search. The last thing with the Fiverr search I want to show you is the keyword ranking, right? So when they write, for example, Instagram, what is gonna show up in your gig? And this is important because you need to, when you're gonna be creating your gig, you need to look at the keywords and you need to understand which keywords are appropriate for your gig and which keywords are not appropriate, right? So for example, here you can see your in my case, my gig, right? I can see what I have. I have positive keywords, I have niche marketing, I have social network, I have Instagram, I have social media, I have management. So those are my keywords. I would say they're not ideal because, for example, niche marketing, I'm not sure how many people are searching for the niche marketing. Social network, that's a bit tricky one. Instagram, yes, and we just saw it. Social media, I think it's relevant, of course. Management, what kind of management? You know, it could be business management, it could be, you know, I don't know, house management, like it could be real estate management. I mean, there's could be other things. So be careful, but you can still see from my example that my gig is ranked well enough. So what it tells me that probably I should not change it if it's working well. If it's not working well, you can change it. If something is working well, just keep it. Don't change it too often. But you can see from my example how my keywords are structured here as well. So remember, you have your Fiverr search, you have best-selling, you have recommended, you have keyword search, right? And then you have a public feedback and private feedback, which matters a lot. So guys, please feel free to let me know. You can always reach out to me on Udemy. That's a great way. You can also check out my Instagram as well and just kind of like watch behind the scenes. And if you have questions, of course, I'm happy to help. You have also YouTube channel, which I'm doing as well. I'm sharing there more consistently with updates for Fiverr, for growing my agency on Fiverr. So you can also check out there as well. Thank you so much and excited to see you in the next lecture. Let's take a look at the hot profitable gigs on Fiverr. And like this, we can just see what other sellers are offering, what they are doing as well, how the numbers are looking like. So like this, you can understand the potential, not only from my example, but from other examples and what other people are offering too. So first, when we go in the Fiverr search here and just, in general, when we're looking for gigs, also keep in mind that Fiverr, since they are differentiating from the Fiverr regular search and also the Fiverr Pro. So in the previous lecture, I talked about the search, how people can find you, but recently Fiverr has started to implement Fiverr Pro, right? So when you go for business solutions here, you will see Fiverr Pro, and here you can also do the search, and usually by the default, they will show you the actual freelancers. So not necessarily the gigs, which you can also do here. You can switch to the full catalog, but they will show you the Fiverr Pro, right? And this catalog is different. I mean, it's always curating. You see other, one type of sellers, other type of sellers, right? But for example, I noticed that, let's say, if we are coming back to the social media marketing, more or less, we're gonna see similar situation which happened in the regular search, right? So, okay, let's take a look here. For example, let's go for the regular search. If we go to the regular search, if we go to the digital marketing, social media marketing, we're gonna find few in the first page, and we can take a look and see how they are performing and what sort of results that people are getting. For example, let's take a look at one of my competitors as well and how they are performing. You can see 217 orders in queue. Right? So Instagram growth is very popular. Growing their Instagram accounts, I would say, is a great niche. You can do this multiple ways. There's a lot of growth strategies. We're going to discuss a bit more in the next sections, in the next modules. But here you can see they're doing really great. They're doing, if we take a look at 217 at 99 euros, at 100 plus euro, so they are at 20k plus. I mean, that's for sure reasonable, probably even more, right? So depending on, if they order extras, if they order, medium package, but you can see that it's definitely possible. Also, another important thing that you can see here, actually, let me switch to US dollars, it might be a little bit easier. just to see the differences, right? So they are starting at $100. They had to change it because when you're Fiverr Pro, you need to start at $100. Before they used to start a bit less, and then they have $115 and $140. In my case, you can see here that I'm offering my pricing. This is another important factor. Of course, you not necessarily can do this right away, because it will be harder to find clients who will pay you a lot and you don't really have a lot of proof on Fiverr. But you can see my package starts from 140, 160 and goes up to 220, right? So their highest package is 140. I mean, if I will recommend them, I'll recommend them to increase their prices, because at the end of the day, they will have same volume, more or less, but they're gonna make a lot more money, right? So I'm not sure why they're pricing lower, because they think they will compete as well. But you know, we are at 152, and my other gig is also like, we are past 200, so we are at about, you know, I think even more than, yeah, I mean, we are for sure more than they are, and we're charging more as well. So you need to understand that, you know, this is important factor. Pricing is crucial. Let's take a look, for example, someone that is in other niche. Let's say Joseph. I know him actually, let's say personally, and he's been doing a great job. I mean, Fiverr has been a big chunk of income for him. He is at 21 orders in queue. Keep in mind, he's only doing it for 10 days. He has other 14 days and 30 days, right? 30 days, $695. So, I mean, he's definitely doing extremely well on Fiverr too. So, and he's not Fiverr Pro, he's just top rated seller. So that's another factor, that you don't need to be necessary Fiverr Pro to have big results. But you can see orders in queue. I'm not sure if Fiverr is gonna eventually remove these orders in queue, because I don't know, sometimes I'm getting buyers and they're saying, oh, can you handle my work? Can you handle one more order or not? Because you have a lot of orders in queue. So that's another factor that I'm not sure if Fiverr is going to be changing. Let's take a look at here, social media marketing manager. He's doing 30 days, 15 engaging posts, best hashtags, captions to social media pages. It's pretty good. 25 orders in queue, 7 days, 6 days, delivery. So these types of gigs are great because he doesn't offer posting. Let's just double check here. So he does content creation, and then he sends you the content and you can use this content. So I would say it's pretty good. I have the same gig, so, but you know, he has 25 orders in queue. I don't have 25 orders in queue on my content creation gig, but it's definitely great. I mean, you know, you don't need to be too concerned about let's say your competition, because at the end of the day, if you're doing a good quality work, you're gonna have customers, right? I think first of all, he's ranking high for this gig, so that's why, let's say, he has more clients than me. Let's take a look, for example, if I have so we can compare, because my gig is actually very similar to his one. It's this one. Let's take a look here. So I'm currently at 1 order in queue. I'm at 135, 9 posts, 7 days. You can see we're going back to him here. So he has 140, so he's selling more, 6 days delivery. He also has a subscription as well implemented, which maybe I should do it as well, right? But he has a lot more reviews as well, so the gig is more established. This is one of the things that are, you know, have more advantage there. But as you can see, again, different service, so content creation, just basically content creation. So that is definitely possible. We have Facebook ads, content creation. We can also take a look at this one. Again, 29 orders in queue. He's doing 7 days management, 5 posts, and then he goes for 12 posts, and also he goes for 6 social media accounts, premium, 30 days management, content creation, branding. So he doesn't specify exactly, but you know, it's much cheaper than the other sellers. At the end of the day, you should not price yourself really low, because you need to, if you are for quality, and I think Fiverr is changing that. Before it used to be $5, that's it. Now it's different, it's changing, so you should not price yourself low, right? I think you should, even if you're just getting started, don't overprice, but give yourself a reasonable price. So I want to show you another seller who is here that I know, and you know, she's been actually doing a really great job. And I mean, I'm always impressed when I look at her activity, because I mean, I'm not saying that we're always spying each other, but probably, I mean, I can say, of course, I'm looking at other sellers and I'm seeing how they're performing. I'm also learning if they're doing well, because first of all, it gives motivation. Gives me, okay, this seller is doing better than me, and that means I can also do it similar as her, or maybe even better, right? So for example, Elif, she is at 65 orders in queue, very impressive. She's been always consistently at 60, 70 plus orders in queue. She has a lot of reviews as well, so the gig is stronger. She probably does a really good job with inbox, with messages, with closing clients, right? But these numbers are insane, because if you do the math, I mean, she's at 400 here, right? So she's definitely the 30K plus, and this is crazy amount. I mean, you can, of course, when you do content creation, content management, you're creating content, right? That means you're not dependent on other platforms, and you can be, you can have these healthy margins, and this service will always be needed. So that's why I think this is a great service to also offer if you are getting started, and if you are thinking what you should offer. And we're going to talk about how you can do this. So I'm not just showing you, but we're going to go and ways how you can create the content. So I'm going to be showing you some sneak peeks as well, how I'm doing it too, so like this you can understand it better. Here, this seller, I think he has maybe decreased a bit in a way the volume, right? So it looks like it's a bit like me with I have 1 order in queue, he has 3 orders in queue, right? But that's why, yes, the competition is definitely definitely is there, but there's other factors. How fast do you reply? How good you reply? Do you really understand the client business, and do you really like trying to push for it? If you're doing calls or not doing calls, right? I mean, there's a lot of factors, and if you're driving traffic as well. So guys, this is just a few examples, because not always the services you will see with like social media management, content creation, because you can see also services, for example, Tom, also great seller. I don't know him personally, but he's been doing incredible job. I've been following and seeing him. He has 9 orders in queue, but he only has 1 day, 1 to 5 days delivery, right? Most of his clients probably going to be at this range, because I'm not sure if you have a lot of people who have over 25,000 followers, right? You will have, but maybe not a lot. But he's still doing 9 orders in queue. If you look at his reviews and just kind of calculate number of reviews he got in the last month, it's around 50. I did the count before, and not everyone leaves the feedback, so maybe you have 60, 70. So he's definitely at the good healthy margins by just offering lower ticket gigs. So guys, you can offer lower ticket, higher ticket, medium as well, but this is definitely possible. It's not just my case. You can see other sellers are doing well, and we are just looking for social media marketing. Imagine other categories, imagine other subcategories. The potential is huge. Let's explore the services that you can do for Instagram specifically, and these kind of services, they're going to be a lower ticket services. We're going to explore what our sellers are currently offering. I'm going to give you as well some advices, some things that you can use, and also implementing some things with the ChatGPT. ChatGPT is very useful. I think that's something that came in 2023 with a very, let's say, big help for many marketers, creators, because I wouldn't say like ChatGPT will completely replace everything that relates with copywriting, but it could give you a nice time saver when you're doing this kind of services. So we are on the Fiverr here search, and we're going to go to the social media marketing category. Like always, we're going to go to the social media, and here let's explore some services that you can do actually yourself. So the first services that I want to specifically emphasize, these services are primarily like researching hashtags, creating the bio, optimizing the bio. Let's take a look at one of these services by Tommy. So the first thing, I think there is still a demand for these services. There's definitely opportunity. You can definitely make a few $1,000s. It's not easy. It will probably take time, but there is still a place for these services. But of course, the market is shifting. And it's not like if you only offer this kind of service, it's going to be very hard, because you're going to be always dependent on the search, on the traffic. So if the traffic goes down, you will start, making a lot less money. If the traffic goes up, you will be making, good money. So that's how it's going to be usually. And to do these services, there are multiple things. And the best thing with Fiverr is that you can actually go and look what people are doing. So let's open, for example, this one, the gig for identification. Let's also try to look for other gigs. For example, I will create LinkedIn business page. Let's take a look at this gig as well. Let's take a look at I'll be a social media marketing manager. This is a little bit different for another video. I'll set up and optimize your Facebook and Instagram campaigns. That's a little bit different as well. Let's go for, I'll create Facebook business manager with a business manager page. Let's take a look on the second page as well. So we have the content. Let's see here. I'll wire promote your Medium articles. That's not what we need. So we have here, let's say, I'll increase your followers on all social media platforms. I will send a fresh connection request. I will set up Facebook campaigns. Let's see what else they have. Just a second. UGC content, Pinterest marketing, set up Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube, and all social media. That also could be good. And let's take a look, for example, the third page. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of related to the social media, to the paid ads, to the content creation, right? So there's a lot of things like that, but we're just gonna go for like a lower ticket, the gigs which are not very hard to do and you can do them right away. So what we can also do is we can do this one, Instagram bio, and we can see here, for example, okay, this is the gigs that we need to. Let's stay all set up and optimize. We can see by the number of reviews, this one has over 300, but she doesn't have any in queue. So okay, this one has one in queue. Let's do also Instagram highlights. This is the highlight icons that people are also creating. Let's just open up another gig, 2 orders in queue. Let's also do Instagram profile, for example, just to see here. Creating profile, I'll design Instagram profile, pause all the posts. Instagram, let's do optimization. I'll set up manage optimizing Facebook and Instagram ads. I'll set up optimizing Instagram bio professionally. Okay, so this is actually the same seller. So let's start first with the hashtags, right? So for the hashtags, I think very clear, like, researching the hashtags, giving the hashtags, like when we take a look for example, let's take a look at, so it makes it more maybe clear. Let's take a look at my example in my account case. We can go and open up here, for example. Just a second, let's go and minimize here. So in my case, you can see, so I'm marketer, I'm running my agency on Fiverr, right? So of course we can start finding something similar. The biggest thing with the hashtags, when you try to find hashtags and you search, for example, for marketer, you want to make sure you're not using a very, very popular hashtags. That's how you will conduct your hashtag research and be able to use the hashtags ideally with 200,000 200,000 posts or less, right? You don't want to use a very, very popular ones. You can also use a ChatGPT. So if you go to the ChatGPT, they have a certain plugins which you can use, which will help you with finding the hashtags. So for example, let's take a look here. There are a lot of plugins. For example, you can see here the plugin which we might be using. It's What's Trending. It's Explore Trending Searches Keywords Hashtags by Topic across YouTube, Instagram, right? So we can always go, for example, for a plugin store and you can take a look at, for example, we can write hashtag and you can see, for example, this is one of them. We have retrieve hashtag follower counts, trends, suggestions, right? Another one. So let's try to go with something like a hashtag, just using this plugin, for example. So you can first of all write, and ChatGPT asks, can you help me find hashtags that related to the marketing? So when you start looking for the hashtag, so you can say, let's say, can you help me find 10 hashtags related to marketing, for example, on Instagram, right? So you always need to play around because this plugin is not perfect. ideally you want to also do it yourself, right? You can just go on Instagram and search for like marketing or a marketer. You can do like marketing and you can start finding what is relevant. For example, marketing plan, it's a little bit big one. You have social media marketing is very big. You can do like 2023, 2024 in the future, right? So we can always play around and find the optimum ones, right? But again, you can see here it found like summer, it found this, so it's not of course ideal. You need to play around and ask ChatGPT, can you find, let's say, hashtags for digital marketing on Instagram with not more than 200,000 posts. So let's see. And of course, by the time you're watching this video, of course, the ChatGPT is going to be evolving. There'll be more things, but I think you can definitely, use it as a sort of like a reference and come up with more hashtags, more ideas, right? You can see here. So it's definitely, there could be some useful hashtags, but the best way to do this is, of course, manually. You can just create hashtags, maybe like, 10, 20, 30, you can break it down into the different packages as well. So for example, when you look at here at the packages that Tommy has, he has 40 hashtags, he has 90 hashtags, he has 120 hashtags, and also they provide some sort of like a strategy, a guide where you can just, give them tips, give them strategies. You can create this using Canva. This could be one way, and just kind of like package the information there. So these gigs are, they're low ticket, I would say, because Fiverr, like $100 and more, it considers to be more like a higher ticket now. Anything that less than $100, it's more like on the lower ticket side. So these gigs are useful. I have in my services, I have them as well as an extra. They can order 30 hashtags, they can order 90 hashtags, they can order profile optimization. There's like multiple ways that people can order, but this could be one of the options. Let's say going for and identifying the bots, the followers, right? There are honestly multiple platforms. And what I will suggest you to do as well, when you are going through this sort of gigs and understanding what you can do, what you cannot do, I will suggest you to go into the Black Hat World forum for always trying to find something that you can apply to your gigs, right? So here they have a lot of different tools, a lot of different platforms as well. If you go to the social media category, you will be able to see a lot of services which are white label services. So we're going to reference a few times to the Black Hat World, but this is a great place for these kind of things. Besides Black Hat World, you also have another forum which is Swapped, right? So this forum is a bit different. It's more like a higher ticket. So I will suggest to first just explore what you have in Black Hat World and eventually try to apply into your gigs. Because here, for example, you will also find another guide just for your reference. And it's good to like, okay, you invested in this course, you're getting information, I'm sharing with you information, but it's also good to see what people are doing on these places, because they are also selling their guides, their forums, the Instagram growth strategies, and you can just even purchase that. It's not going to be like very expensive, but like this you will know exactly what it's out there on the market, and you will be able to implement some things that you will find from here as well. So for example, let's take a look at just a second here. So let's going back, for example, to identifying ghost followers. There is a platform which was and is still doing it before. It's called InstaHero. They were the original founders. They are from Russia. They were creating it in the Russian language, but this platform is still support. So if, for example, you want to do and identify ghost and fake followers, you could use this platform, InstaHero. You can see it's .io. They lead to the English version of it, and it will actually do the analytics of the followers. It will also delete the bots, right? So this is one of the tools that could do this. So it will actually already do the first gig, and it's going to do the second gig as well, which is removing followers. Let me just go back to the first place where we were before. So if we go here into the remove those followers. So this, you can see 42 orders in queue, pretty impressive, right? But you can do this gig and you can do this gig right here by just using this platform, which is instahero.io. So again, you can see it's available here, right? Again, yes, it's not it's not just an easy service, because you still need to like maintain, you need to be able, but it's still great. For example, this service, you don't need to log in into their Instagram account, so you can just do this without the login, and this platform is going to collect the information without any login, which is amazing. So that's why I think you can definitely try it. Okay, let's move on. Let's go for the other gigs here. So this one is very simple. Create a LinkedIn business page. I'm always getting messages from clients. Can you create an Instagram for me? Can you create a Facebook page for me? So I think you can definitely package the gig, which will be something like, I'm gonna create and optimize your social media pages. So that means you can create Instagram page, Facebook page. You can maybe record like a short video and guide them how they can do this. I know that sounds like maybe very simple, but the clients will pay, $50, maybe even $100 if you package this all together with the extras and more information. And it's probably like a few minute work for you, but for clients, like for buyers, they just don't have time, they don't understand what to do. For them, it's easy to pay like $50 for you to just create everything and explain them how everything should be done. So let's go for the next one. We have here the same Facebook, creating Facebook Business Manager, Facebook ad account. Again, this is a popular because many times they need an ad account, they need a business manager, and it's completely it's a mess. When you start to create this with Instagram, with Facebook, it's a complete mess. So that's why there are services out there, and you can learn this yourself as well. You can just go through these steps. There is a lot of videos on YouTube as well on how you can create a business manager and how you can link things. But this is a great services to offer. Again, the same, setting up all the pages, and you can see, for example, 5 social media setup, 5 account create setup, banner, bio, CTA, website integration, autoresponder, hashtags. They charge 120 euros, which is, we can translate it to the US dollars. Just go here. So she's charging 120 bucks for all of this together, right? So actually that he's charging it. So yeah, but you can see the idea, right? And there is a demand for sure. Like you can see, it has over 460 reviews. All of them are positive reviews. He set up all the pages. You can see the demand is definitely there. Every single day he's getting orders completed. So it's for sure a popular service. The same here, set up Pinterest marketing. I've seen this seller for a long time. Pinterest services are also very popular as well on Fiverr. This could definitely work. And then we go now into the proper bio optimization that attracts, converts. So for bio versions, for me, this is crazy because you can create a bio just by using ChatGPT. So this is not complicated. You can go here and you can write, let me just open up this page here, and you can write this bio. So you can create, for example, and ask for ChatGPT, can you create, or we can just even take, for example, my current bio, and we can ask, can you create a different version of this bio? You can also ask ChatGPT to create, for example, if we go here, let's say, you can also ask for, she's doing the SEO optimized, blah, blah, blah. You can do this completely in ChatGPT. You don't need to even complicate things. You can just use ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going to do, you can see, proven self-units marketing on Fiverr, initiated the day trades at New York stores, serving blah, blah, blah. You can also ask for, can you create 3 versions of the bio? So when you ask ChatGPT, just keep in mind, you need to ask, can you create, let's say, less than 150 characters, because that's symbols, that's what Instagram bio is. And you can ask, can you create line by line? Can you make it in 4 lines? Can you put the emoji and in the first of every line, right? right? And that way it will create those versions and those variations. So very simple, very straightforward, nothing super complicated. And you can be charging like she's charging, you know, like 80 bucks, 60 bucks, you know, 50 bucks. I mean, it's crazy. You know, you can charge that much, which will require you, I mean, literally this takes like a few minutes of work, right? So this should be, and you know, it's still, this gig exists, you know, so that means, you know, you can make money just by using ChatGPT. You don't need to very complicate things. Set up the bio, set up the Instagram profiles. That's what we've seen. Creating those highlight icons. So this one is a bit more, not complicated, but it's different because you're gonna use Canva for that. And when you go inside of Canva, you can just pick the Instagram highlights, and then when you go to the Instagram highlights, you can just choose a different highlights. Very simple, still very straightforward, and you can create the variations of the highlights like this. But it's more creative work because you need to, you know, match their style, you need to match their format. So it's a bit different, but you can still do this sort of gigs. The next one, I will optimize the Instagram bio. Again, the same. He's charging a lot less, right? You will see some people will be charging less, but I wouldn't really worry too much. Like, okay, if he charges $5, that's fine. You know, you can charge more. You don't need to be charging $5, but that's the whole situation on this. So guys, there are a lot of services that you can do like this. You can use ChatGPT, you can just use other platforms, external platforms as well, but that's the idea. I mean, these services, it's a good start for you, for if you don't know what to do, if you just want to get a taste, you know, it's great start. I will suggest maybe opening like 1 to 2 to 3 gigs in the lower ticket, so you can just get this process going. And then in the next video, we're going to discuss what other gigs that you can offer, a more higher ticket, more recurring gigs. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy it as well. Let's take a look in this lesson about the growth services. So Instagram, specifically Instagram growth services. And this industry has been, I would say, very crazy in the last several years. And of course, a lot of things are changing all the time. But in my opinion, Instagram growth has a lot of potential because it has a crazy high demand. A lot of people are interested to grow their accounts, to get sales, to get results from Instagram. So overall, the platform has great ways of how you can do this. In the past, people used to do follow unfollow. They used to follow people, unfollow people, and you know, that's the only strategy. Yes, it still works. The limits are different. Everything has changed after 2019, but it's not the only way. There are other ways. And by the time I'm recording this video, I want to also give you a sort of guidance because, as I said, the industry is changing fast. Every month there are platforms that exist, then they don't exist anymore. But there is this place where you can always check out the latest trends, the latest tools and platforms, and that's called Black Hat World. So when you go to the blackhatworld.com, the forum, you can go into the social media space here and you can start seeing what eventually people are advertising, right? So for example, if we want to find something relates to the Instagram growth, which is, let's say, follow unfollow, we can find it here by the certain providers that they advertise. So we can go, for example, we have this service which is sending mass DMs. I actually have it open right here. This service offers we create network of Instagram accounts, promote your main account. This can be used to get leads for your products or grow your account. Cost of the service, 1 to 2 million DMs, $400 per 1 million DMs. 2 million DMs, $300. Every order will be processed within 24 hours. Full refund guaranteed if we can't process your order. Fast support, can accept crypto and Payoneer, right? So, okay. Pretty interesting because this could be a high ticket. Million DMs could be, I remember I used to charge over 1K for like 200, 300,000. So yes, I mean, the DMs, for example, mass DMs has got hit by Instagram with the hidden requests. This is for sure, right? But there are still ways of, getting this message out there into the request, into the inbox as well. If we go here, for example, and search guaranteed service blue badge verification service, okay, we don't need that. If we go handmade AI made accounts, automation software, let's take a look at this one, German Instagram engagement system. We need to find something relates to the, we have a story viewing. This is also, I'm not sure if by the time you will watch this video, this will still be available, but you know, it's still out there. This is a great service. We have also Bumblebot AI OnlyFans. If you are interested to grow, you know, OnlyFans agencies, models as well, OnlyFans models, that's going to be very useful. We have Revolution Your Instagram Growth. Let's take a look at this one. So there is a bot which allows you to follow and follow, $500 30 days, unlimited devices, unlimited PCs. So they are pretty much reselling the software which used to you know, run you know, follow and follow. I'm not sure if it's the best option, because it might create some issues, and it's at the end of the day it's a bit more complicated. You know, you want to make things more simple, so like this you can focus on the sales and on the conversion as well. So let's take a look. We have another options here. For example, let me put Instagram, mother-child Instagram growth. Let's double check this one. Instagram, let's see, starting Instagram first page. Let's go on the 4th page. So there are a lot of, I mean, for example, this one, let's take a look at this service, Instagram growth targeted followers. Let's take a look at this service. Really high target followers, 7 days discount. Okay, so we have enough, right? So first one is mother-child. This is a great method because it doesn't require the password. This is important, doesn't require the password, and I like how they actually created the page. I mean, it's really looks really cool. I mean, I might try myself. I haven't been using mother-child strategy. $250 for 1,000 plus targeted followers per month. That's not bad, because you can definitely sell this 2-3 times more, so that's not bad a strategy. I think this is pretty good. They have a Telegram account, blah blah blah, refund mile policies. This is pretty good actually, and you can you know, you can see the results. Yes, it's a bit pricey, but it's more a high ticket service, and it doesn't require the password, which is incredible too. So for sure it's out there. I think, you know, if you're interested, you should definitely give it a try. Let's go for the next one. Next one we have Grow Your Instagram, $29.99. We have the method is, I assume it's follow and follow. It seems like they're doing this by the phone. So I think as they stand it by algorithm, engaging followers who have similar interest. Not very clear, but yeah, they might be doing the follow and follow. Let's take a look at this one, for example, Growsta Media, manual Instagram growth service. Let's see what they do. Interacting, engaging, niche, relevant, DM outreach. They are doing as well manual posting. The package is $40-50. We have follow and follow, likes and comments. We have customized welcome DM, which is pretty good, whitelist, blacklist. So for sure it definitely works. I mean, you know, if they're out there, you can see they have, you know, we can take a look at their feedbacks as well. They're taking new orders. Okay, this might be not very polite message sent, but it's definitely, I mean, I think with the follow and follow, you will never get clients who are like, you know, extremely happy, because first of all, you need to follow people, you need to unfollow. If they're doing this manually, for sure there will be some things that they could miss, etc. So I think at the end of the day, and they have 50 clients running, 50 plus clients running, you're the only one who's being too aggressive. Yeah, so people are different. I think at the end of the day, if he's really putting the work and, you know, effort, I think this could work pretty well for your clients. Let's take a look at this one, manual growth service as well, 7 days free, exactly the same. Pricing is more or less the same as well. Actually, it's a bit more expensive, but I'm sure you can always negotiate. And what's the refund policy? If we fail to deliver, we'll refund you 100%, which, yeah, I mean, which is good, but you never know if it's gonna happen or not. So let's see here. Seems to be good. Let's say we don't really see any like crazy negative messages. The buyers you know, a good review here. You can see taking a load of managing 15 theme pages, 50 to 60, 50k to 650k followers. So it's pretty good. I think this for sure, you know, that's the way. I mean, you sometimes, you know, there's services out there that you can just use, implement, and you can make money from that. Of course, you can also do this before you really invest in all of this, because I assume maybe I started, let's say, too fast because I'm showing you the services. But at the end of the day, it's good to do it first by yourself. If you have a time, if you want to help clients, if you want to work with clients, if you want to make money, I think you can easily manage 5 accounts, at least 5 accounts yourself, and you can be charging them, let's say, $200 per account, which makes it $1,000 for you. This is definitely possible. And if you want to scale this, you can, start asking your friend, or start kind of like engaging in your community, and then eventually you can slowly grow it that way, right? Instagram is aggressive now with the follow, but it's still possible. It's not as they were aggressive in 2019 when they were making a bunch of changes. So it is definitely possible. I know there are a lot of out there manual growth agencies who are doing everything completely manual, and they're operating thousands of accounts, which is just insane number. So it's definitely possible, requires time, but I think if you're gonna do manual, make sure you're using VPN as well. You're in the same login of the client. Just invest yourself. You can use NordVPN. You can use something like a Surfshark VPN, which is a great VPN that I use myself too, really very often. So you can use this, and you can use your device. iPhone usually have a better trust score, like a better sort of trust score for the actions, but Android is absolutely fine as well. There is not really like a big difference. Like theoretically, iPhone is better in some ways, but the limits are always the same for both Android and iPhone, right? So you can use both. If you're using iPhone, for example, it will be expensive for you to upgrade after, like if you want to scale your small farm, right? But it's definitely possible, and I think if you put in the work, it's also great. If you, let's say, if you're on Fiverr, you can offer this service, but I think there's a lot of potential doing it directly. So if you start sending messages, if you're starting to outreach to people, give them a free trial in exchange, obviously they try with you, and then eventually you can start charging them as well. So guys, let me know what do you think as well. You can, again, always reach out on Udemy. You can send me a message on Instagram, share your thoughts. You can check out also my YouTube channel for this, but I think that's going to be useful. Having this kind of service is definitely good because it's a recurring service. I would say it's a higher ticket because it's $100 plus that you can charge your clients, and that's, you can build a good system that you don't need to be dependent on someone, and there's a lot of providers out there that you can use your help as well. Let's talk about the social media content creation service. So this is a great service. First of all, you're not dependent on anything. You just have the full control, and it's super scalable. So just for the numbers, I want to show you some sellers which are generating, and in me myself, we've been quite successful with this service. We've generated in 1 month past 10K in a month with the content creation and posting service. So it definitely works. It's a great service because yes, it's not maybe as hashtag research when you do it fast. It takes time to create, but I'm going to show you how kind of like how you can do this, how you can offer this to your clients. So let's take a look at a few examples of a few sellers who are offering this, and one of them I just opened here. We can also take a look at let's say this one, Emmy. She's doing it pretty well. She has a lot of orders in queue. Let's take a look at also here another seller, if I find her, Elif. Okay, so here you can see Elif, she has 63 orders in queue. Very impressive, right? So she's selling this at I know there's people who are pulling up the calculator, but I mean, you can do it yourself if you just multiply the numbers, and you get what she could make, right? So it definitely in the 30K plus range that she's making from Fiverr, probably more. but you can see it's definitely possible, right? So the other one, we have Emmy and Johnny. So she's also doing really well, probably 20k per month revenue. And Manuel, he's doing really well too. So, you know, hard to say, of course, his exact revenue, but probably 10k. He's making around 10k as well. Okay, so how you can actually do this? So let's go first to Canva, right? So in Canva, you can go and create design, and you can use Instagram post as a square. So I created here as an option, and here, you know, the idea is, first you need to create, you know, educational content. So when the client comes in from, let's say, real estate niche, construction niche, right? So I can give you an example of what we have been creating so far for the clients, and there is a bunch of different examples here in our agency website. So you can see the examples, right? So for example, here we are doing the property management company, right? And we are showcase their, you know, the team, we're showcase their values, we're showcase the examples, we're showcase their services, right? So here you can see this one is a logistics company, right? Again, we're showcase their values, we're showcase their information, we're showcase their features, right? So of course you need to have a website for this. You need to have client website where you can take this information. You can also use ChatGPT to help you with the information. Like you can ask for, can you help me write, you know, this and that, you know. I'm not gonna go like super in detail, but I think that with the help of ChatGPT, it's going to be extremely valuable, because you can help yourself with the captions, right, for writing the captions, and you can help yourself with finding useful information and putting it on the content as well, right? Of course, you have to be careful. You have to work with ChatGPT. It's not just, you know, copy paste, but you need to actually do a good work of that. And you need to be you need to be careful with what you write, because, you know, for example, here we have also created content. You can see here, right, we're giving tips for people who are you know, with disabilities, elderly people, right, who need help. They are providing this sort of service assistance, and of course you need to create content around it. You know, you need to be careful, you need to know what you write, but you can, for example, ask even ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT, hey, can you give me 5 self-care tips for a disability person, right? So and you know, he can provide you the information, and then you can package the information here. You can also go and, for example, type in the templates. You can see right here there are different sort of templates which you can customize. You can delete the picture, you can edit the picture, you can do completely different. You can play with the colors, you can do the branding. So it's honestly, it's a great service. You know, it's not just you're posting a pictures, but you are actually you know, you're creating educational content, you're creating content with their branding as well, and at the end of the day, you can be charging a few $100s for this, depending on how many posts you can do. There are 2 options. The first one, the easiest one, is to create content and send it to the client, and that's it. And the second option is you can be in charge of the posting as well. In the next video, I'm going to show you also what sort of posting tools that you can use to do the posting, and how my onboarding looks like when the client needs to connect their social media pages. But with this, you can do this effectively creation process, and you can also add some extras, which we discussed earlier before with the Instagram. You can add different extras, and eventually this could be a really great service to offer to your clients. So let's review another service, which is running paid ads. This is a last service in this module. Well, it's should be last, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna put more updated lessons, but this is the most advanced service, because you need to know how to run ads, you need to know how to you know, manage the budget and work with the budget, and it's a high risk, because you're using your client's budget, and you are, you know, running ads, which requires skills as well to do. So a few things, let's review. I want to show you a few services who does that. I mean, there is a whole whole category with the paid social media, which you can see here. Borislav, he's been one of the great sellers as well, who's been running this very consistently. So you can see he has 35 orders in queue. Besides Borislav, we have Joseph as well, who's been running ads, 18 orders in queue. So yes, it's definitely another level, but you can still be making a really good revenue with that. In order to learn about ads, I honestly suggest you to go and search for Facebook ads. For example, this channel, Ben Heath.
A lot of the things that
he's been very useful. He's been very powerful because he shares a lot of up-to-date information with the Facebook ads. There's also Facebook ads complete, let's say, course 2023, and you can actually see here it has 41 minutes of how you can run ads. I honestly think the best place to go and learn is by watching one of these videos. Ben has 1 hour video long, right? So sorry about the commercial, but yeah, so it's much more informative because I'm not going to go very in detail with the ads, because first of all, it's definitely not for everyone. There are only like certain number of people who can do this. Of course, they need to learn, you need to practice, you cannot do it right away. So that's why content creation, Instagram growth, it's some more easier services to offer, but this still has a good potential on Fiverr, off Fiverr, and you can definitely, learn the skills with the other trainings that are out there, and you can run this very successfully. So again, I think when you're starting with the paid ads, you can put them in the paid social media, you can also put them in the social media marketing category, and eventually you can check out how other sellers are pricing their services. So you can see here they're charging, you need to remember that they are charging for their fee, for the setup, right? And then the clients, they have their own budgets, which is, depending how much they want to spend. So, and also usually another thing which you can actually do if you don't want to, let's say, run ads yourself, you can come back to the Black Hat World forum, and here you will see there is a great service which you can find. Let's just double check their pricing as well. So let's go back. Facebook advertising for rent. We need to find this one, 0 penny Facebook Google Ads agency. So let's see what the pricing they have at the moment. So because they've been changing this, they have. Let's see. So okay, so they have package 1 ads, accounts, everything. So it's $1,846 per month. So for sure, yes, it's not cheap. It's not that you can offer $1,288 per month, right? Flat fee. Yes. So okay, this is but you can see everything is included: setup, copy, research, targeting, optimization, monitoring, scaling, unlimited campaigns, which we can see here 1 to 6 ads, right? So it's not unlimited, but you're paying for unlimited campaigns, unlimited ad accounts, not included, right? Here they have it included in the second package. So again, I think it's worth taking a look and maybe even contacting and understanding how they operate. But at the end of the day, I think you can just use one of those Facebook guides and just start to learn this yourself, because it's not going to be very maybe difficult down the road, but you need to really structure your packaging pretty well. But this service is still popular even if you start right now. You can also differentiate this not only for Instagram, Facebook, but you can do this for TikTok, you can do this for Google Ads, right? So you can use multiple. You can also do Pinterest ads, right? So you can just focus on what you will enjoy the most. So guys, again, this is a more next level service, but it's definitely out there. You're not dependent. Of course, you still need to be dependent on a client ad account or other things, but again, this is a great, in my opinion, service to offer, which I did before in the past. You can also find someone like a media buyer, a person who is going to be in charge of those ads and running them and just monitoring, and you can be paying a certain fee for that person, salary, or a fee that you will agree on, and that will work very well as well. Let's talk about setting up your seller profile on Fiverr and what are important components that goes into it when you start to create your profile. And the first thing, Fiverr has changed over the time. So now you obviously need to keep in mind, I mean, it's the interface is always going to be changing from time to time, and they are, of course, with the change to the Fiverr Pro, they started to really transition the marketplace with services that are higher end as well, and then other services that goes to the rest of the marketplace. So when you first set up your profile on Fiverr, I think the biggest, in my case, the biggest success that played out is that I went as a personal brand. So I went as my face, as my name, as an expert, as a marketer. And I think that's what you should also think about doing, because first of all, it gives you, it's building your personal brand. So even with your Fiverr account, if you will be applying, for example, for jobs in the future, or if you kind of like, let's say, gonna need to show proof of your work, of your activities, your Fiverr profile could be a really good factor for that. It could help you with the opportunities, it could help you with other things. So this is first thing. The second thing is, in the long term, people who will be finding you on Fiverr are going to be also finding you off the platform. They might connect with you on LinkedIn, they might send you a direct message on Instagram, they might send you a message on Twitter, X, they might send you a message on other platforms, they might go to your YouTube channel, right? So it kind of like creates that sort of infrastructure. And it's also, there are positive, negative things, of course. The positive that you will be getting more exposure of your personality outside of Fiverr, and you of course have to be careful, because Fiverr has a strong rules that when you, let's say, have a communication on Fiverr, you can't really bring that person outside of Fiverr, right? So this is a very important factor. But right now Fiverr has changed, and it allows you to include your full name. It allows you to include your, you have information about you here as well, what you do, what kind of, clients you have worked with. So it has more and more information. So let's take a look at another place here, which is the Fiverr Pro, right? So this is used to be a Fiverr business. Now they have changed this to the Fiverr Pro, and that's how your profile is looking like. So you have your, you can have your cover as well. Now they have been slightly changing that. You can also see more information about your Pro profile. How does it look? What it should have, right? All these components. Education, skills. So you have all of this information. So the biggest factor when you start your profile on Fiverr is choosing the username. So as you can see here, you cannot change your name, right? So basically you still have your username, which will be always there. Usernames are unique and cannot be changed. So your username is always going to be the same, but you can change how your name is displayed, right? So you can go as a first and last name, you can go as a first initial of your last name, you can go as a maybe an agency name, right? So it does give you an option to write a name which you want to display to your potential clients. So this is great. And then you can also have a tagline, right? So you can have this information here. So very important things when you create a profile, think about the username, because the username cannot be changed. So if you, in my case, I will suggest, of course, to go with your personal, maybe first and last name, or something that relates to your personal brand. Because if you go with the agency name and then you change the agencies, you might have some issues with maybe trademark, hopefully not, but like there's could be other things. Or if you join an agency, if you create agency with partners, maybe your partner will try to start their own agency, or maybe you might have conflict. So it's always the safest to go with your first name, first last name, for example, right? Or anything that associates with your name. And the other factor Fiverr determines is when you create your Fiverr account, right? They see in which location you are. For example, if you are in Europe, if you are in France, Italy, right? You will have your location attached. It's going to be Italy, France, or any other. If you're in Asia, Philippines, it's going to be Philippines, right? Etc. So the other thing what you can try to do, and it's not really a hack, but for example, if you would like to have, and this is also another point, because in my case, when I was creating my profile, I was in the US, and in my case, all of my sort of like revenue goes to the company that I have in the US, right? So it's everything that attached goes in there. So for example, for certain countries, they have certain options. For example, for the US, they have direct deposit option, which goes directly to your company bank account. And if you are in other countries, you won't have that issue. You won't have that option. So that's why, for example, I mean, there is a way of, let's say, not trick it, but let's say if you turn the VPN and you create a profile and you turn it into the US, your profile is going to be created in the US, right? And then, of course, from time to time, this could be changed when you contact the support and you explain them the situation that you maybe moved to another country, or you need to, you're currently living in a different country. They can adjust it and change it. Of course, you probably need to show them some sort of a proof, but still, this is how they determine. They determine mostly by your IP address, and that's how they will establish the location that you're currently in. So guys, very important to understand when you're creating your profile, I will suggest to first think about all of these aspects regarding your name, your username, the location you are in, right? And then eventually create your profile based on those criteria. So remember, Fiverr doesn't allow to have multiple profiles. So at the end of the day, you need to just put it all in one basket, all your gigs, all of your services that you're doing, and eventually focus on creating that seller profile. So again, this will be probably changing going forward. They probably will be having more things to add on, but the username will never change. So meaning that you won't be able to change it going forward, and you just have to pick the unique one so it will stay always with you. So guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson. Let's talk about the best gig strategy that you can do for your gigs. And I want to go and break down based on my examples on how I do things and how I set up my gigs as well. And of course, when you set up your gigs right now, you need to understand that Fiverr is also going in the trend of it's not always the $5 gigs anymore. So if you have your gigs and if you're planning to have services that are listed as $5 or services that are lower ticket, let's say between $5 to $25 to $30, and they are only one time, you will have a struggle to grow on Fiverr, because Fiverr is not necessarily trying to push services that are higher ticket, but that's where they're trying to go. In my case, it's been working for me well because my gigs are higher end. I mean, they're $100 plus and they're recurring. So they are eventually for Fiverr. It's great because the client is going to be ordering my service again and again, and Fiverr is going to be making more money with the same buyer. So a few important things. Let's take a look at, first of all, I want to show you here when you go to Fiverr in, let's say, incognito, right? We can see in the search, there are a few categories. So let's say we're going to talk about social media category. And then in this category, you can see it has, first of all, digital marketing has several subcategories. It has social media marketing category. And then when we go into the social media marketing, we can see let's say subcategories, which are social media management, paid social media, organic social promotions, and we have also other, let's say, profile setup integration, social content, social media strategy, analytics and tracking, and that's it, right? So you need to also, when you create your gigs, to think about, because for every subcategory, Fiverr has different things that they are including. So for example, if I go back here and if I go back into my gigs, let's take a look at for example, let's say first one, create your Instagram content and grow your account. And then if you go to the edit gig, you'll be able to see a few things. So first of all, this is a pro gig. So this being verified by pro. And when you first create your gig, you will not be pro at the beginning. You will need to apply as a pro, and eventually Fiverr need to approve you as a pro, and then you will be able to create a pro gigs. But here you can see this one is pro gig. It's exactly the same, the gig structure as a normal gig, so it should be very straightforward. So regarding here, first of all, you have social media marketing category in my case. So the reason why I'm only seeing a social media marketing category, because I was approved in the social media marketing category. So I'm not approved anywhere else as a pro, so that's why I can only post this gig in the social media marketing category. Then we have social media management. So this is the category that my gig is listed. be careful, because throughout your journey, sometimes Fiverr will be asking you to update your gig, and they're trying to stay compliant with the sub categories, and sometimes they're trying to add some things that are mandatory for you. So for example, here it has some mandatory points, which is like scheduled posts, right? And in that case, you have to include them in your gig. So you can't just cancel them, because these things are mandatory. So just be careful with this. Again, when you create your gig, just review what Fiverr allows you to do. So for example, here you can put your information on the packages, you can put how many delivery days that you can include. So Fiverr has 30 delivery, 45, 60, 75, and 90 days delivery. You can have your number of platforms, right? How many platforms you're going to be in charge of. You have a page channel evaluation as well, so you can include it or, you know, not include it. It's completely up to you. Here you can see it should not be included in this package. Already shows it makes your package less attractive to buyers. So I mean, there's always Fiverr always changes things, and at the end of the day, just make sure you are looking at those parameters, and you are kind of like understanding if your gig will match that or not. And you also look at what Fiverr recommends you to do as well. So here are those points, and then you go into the revision. You can also mark how many revisions you need to do. You see your pricing as well, packages, so everything is included here. And then afterwards we go into the extras. The biggest thing with Fiverr are the extras, because when, for example, we're gonna go into, let's say we're gonna go back here, we're gonna go into, let's try to find my gig first. Fiverr also changes the rotation. So in the beginning of the week on Monday, they usually update the gig search and ranking. So sometimes your gig might go up or down, but then eventually they kind of like make it more in balance. So we're going to talk about a little bit more about the ranking in the next lessons, but that's just a quick talk about that. So when people go here, they can select, first of all, they can select which package they want to go for. So let's say I'm going to select this package. Let's try to do this actually when I'm inside of the Fiverr. So let's go back here. Let's go to my gig. And then, for example, if you want to select this gig, you can see that Fiverr, first of all, asks you to go for the subscription, right? So they're encouraging people to go for the subscription, because in the subscription you can get 15% off or 10% off or 5% off. It depends what you choose in your gig, right? So for example, here we can go in the subscription, and you can see you can choose 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, or nothing, right? Or it's going to be the same. And then eventually you can choose 6 months, or you can choose 3 months, right? And then afterwards you can have your extras. So you can see they're going to show you 2 extras, and then the next extras are going to be still minimized. So that's kind of like how it looks like. I would say, I mean, I do like the way they show it, because it makes it it encourages the client to go for the subscription, which is good, because like this you can get more recurring revenue. And at the same time, you have all of these extras that they also encourage you to subscribe to, which is also good. So I think this is definitely a great way of how they're showing the gig. So very carefully fill up all of this information, fill up all of these descriptions, because you need to make sure you create that gig. And then we're going to go, for example, for the description. You have your description here. You can also include the milestones, right? So Fiverr doesn't allow you to change the meaning of the milestones, but it's good also to create them, because like this you can just build a nice way of following what you're going to do first this, then second and third. For buyers it looks appealing as well, and it's going to be showing very nicely too. So again, let's go back to the gigs. Just remember the categories. So for example, when we are looking at the social media management category, it will have something specific to that category. When we look into the other category, it might not have the same thing. So it's always changing. That's why when you create your gigs, just review every category. Just review what they are giving you as an options. And eventually it doesn't really matter which like sub category you go, but you just want to make sure you don't have any issues by Fiverr is restricting you in search because you haven't included something specific. So just make sure you review everything that is included and eventually pick the right parameters for your gig. So once you're done with the gig, you can also go for the next sections, the requirements. So you can include the requirements. In my case, it's Fiverr has those 3 questions by default, and then they have your questions here as well. Take a moment to make sure your questions aren't asking for the same information as requested above, right? So this is what they do by default for them, and then this is what you ask yourself as well. Again, you can be as specific as you want. You can also include information as you need. You can put it in the free text, multiple choice, or the attachment. I will suggest, like, when you create a gig, you can also include in the last part information where did you find this gig, and you can put, for example, a Google, you can put Fiverr search, you can put social media, you can put someone else maybe recommended that. So like this, you can understand exactly where they're coming from, where they're ordering from, so that I think that's going to be definitely very useful for you. The next thing is advanced settings. So this option is not available for everyone because it's available for I believe the Seller Plus. If you're subscribed to the Seller Plus program, you will be able to have this option. I think this option is good because you can highlight the reviews you want to show, and you can choose if clients will order instantly or they're gonna go and request to order. So this is another option depending on your service. And the last thing is setting up the gig image and setting up the gig video. So I highly encourage you to do that because the video are crucial. It will actually make a huge difference towards your Fiverr journey, Fiverr career, because the clients are gonna see you, they're gonna see your voice, they're gonna see, doesn't matter, like even if you're not comfortable with the video, I still encourage you to do it because I think that's just gonna be valuable, and eventually you might build those personal connection with the clients as well. So guys, hope that was useful. Again, please take a look carefully because from time to time this information is going to be changing, and you need to really review that. At the same time when you're creating your gigs, people say keywords are important. In my case, for some of my gigs, keywords are not super relevant. Here they are relevant. So for sure you need to have keywords like Instagram. If you're doing Instagram service, you need to have Instagram, social media manager, because that's what people are going to be searching for, and that's what you should definitely include in your keywords. I don't use any negative keywords, but this is another option if you want to have and include some negative keywords, so you will not rank on those keywords because they are irrelevant. So guys, thanks so much again, and see you in the next lesson. Okay, so let's talk about ways on how you can promote your Fiverr gigs. And in this lesson, we're gonna talk about the ways that you can promote your Fiverr gig outside of Fiverr. In the next one, I'm gonna talk also how you can promote within the Fiverr. But people always, the Fiverr sellers, they will usually complain if they don't see, let's say, a good ranking of their gig. They will of course say that the Fiverr algorithm is changing, the gig is not visible, they're not getting orders. In my opinion, it's like the Fiverr is just, let's say, a platform. It's an opportunity for you to get those results, sales, bookings, right? But of course, it doesn't mean that there are no other ways of how you can drive traffic, because Fiverr is just doing what they are doing. They're driving traffic. They're also running paid ads to your Fiverr gigs. Of course, not to everyone. If you're just getting started, most likely it's not going to be the case. But still, they're trying to, help you as much as they can. But there are so many other options on how you can promote your Fiverr gig outside of Fiverr. And the first one I will talk about is starting your Instagram account. Starting your Instagram account and sharing valuable tips, strategies around your services. In this case, I want to show this agency that are doing this very successfully. And as you can see, they are showcase the Canva tips, they're showcase, behind the scenes of their work. They are creating really like a nice atmosphere of what is happening. It's a very cool and unique way, right? So, like she's asking like, what kind of Canva tip do you have for me today? And she's showing like what you can do in Canva. So it's not very complicated, but it's something that it's outside of the box. And eventually that's generating them a lot of views, a lot of likes as well. You can see like this one is 28K views, this one is 37K views. So all of these videos are bringing traffic, and that traffic goes to the link in the bio, and that goes here. Let's work together, Flowdesk 50% off code, get social updates directly to your mailbox, which means that they're driving traffic to their the newsletter, and then they are having link to their website there where you can fill up the form, and that's it. Very simple. It's not complicated. It's not like, you know, rocket science. It's very straightforward, and their website is very straightforward as well. But this is what you can do with the power of Instagram, with the power of Reels. This is one option. The other option is starting your YouTube channel. It's a bit more advanced because with Instagram, with the Reels, you can just go and take your phone and start recording this Reels, start talking. With the YouTube, is more complicated because you need to shoot the video, you need to edit the video, you need to publish the video, right? It's a bit more, takes a bit more steps. But even here, for example, doesn't mean that you need to necessarily start your own YouTube channel. You can integrate your services with other YouTube channels. For example, this guy is talking about Instagram marketing, right? Imagine he will mention, let's say, one of your services if you're doing Instagram marketing, and eventually you can see his 2023 update. He has almost 500,000 views on YouTube. This is a huge number in terms of the traffic, in terms of the views, in terms of the engagement as well. So you can either start your YouTube channel and talk about those tips, those strategies. Like for example, here we can take an example is Dominic channel. He's talking about Instagram marketing, social media marketing, right? But specifically Instagram, and he's getting a lot of traffic every single day about Instagram, and he can just be driving people to his, let's say, service that he's doing, right? He's offering, you know, education, his program, so of course he's driving traffic there, but he also drives traffic to his agency as well, and he's able to get more clients that way. So this is another option that you can have. And the third option that you can do is that you can search for articles, for publications, let's say best Instagram marketing services, and you will end up on those sort of publications where you can see what they are suggesting, what kind of services that they're suggesting, what kind of services that you can use. Of course, many of them will actually represent the service itself, so that might not be an ideal scenario, but many of them, they don't represent any service and they're just serve as information based. So for example, you can see here, startup, this one is basically sharing about, you know, marketing, sales, SEO, startups, right? And then this article, for example, published and showing about these services, right? And then eventually these all could be affiliate links because they might get a commission for that, or you can also pay for these kind of features. Or if they are, for example, if you're, you know, nice and, you know, talking to those authors, they might publish, you know, your services and mention about your gig for free. So one case I had here, let me just take a look at this one, search, I'll just show you an example here. So I remember someone was actually putting up my services in his article and just, you know, kind of like showing what people can do. So let's take a look. Okay, this one seems to be an updated version, and you can see I have my name included here. Okay, so you can see he has included my service here, right? So he has all the information, he has the gig as well. So of course, the only problem that I'm seeing is that it's not clickable. It's just explaining about the service, but still, you know, it still gets traffic, it still gets exposure, so it's not too bad. Okay, so but this is how you can do, you know, you can kind of like approach all of these publications and really build a strong traffic towards your Fiverr gig. I think this is incredible because, you know, yes, it takes time, it's not going to happen to you right away, but even, for example, I can give you an example here. I was published in this book called Instagram Power, and this book became like a bestseller. You know, it has a lot of cool, you know, things that written in there. And Jason Miles, the author, he actually interviewed me, and he included my interview in the book. So a lot of people who bought this book, they were messaging me on Fiverr, on Instagram, and, you know, they are asking for, because I provided them a special code, I provided them a special discount, so they're messaging me and they're getting this discount, and, you know, that works really well as well. So guys, there are a lot of ways how you can do this. The Fiverr search, within the Fiverr, we're going to talk about this, it's not just the Fiverr search. There are a lot of other ways. The good thing about Fiverr is that you have your landing page, everything is optimized. Fiverr is trying to work on making registration easy, making all of these processes easy. So you don't need to think about this too much. You just need to focus on finding creative ways how you can market your services and delivering your work as well. So thanks a lot for watching and hope that was useful for you. How to increase your sales within the Fiverr platform. So let's take a look what Fiverr provides to us and how we can scale our business on Fiverr within the Fiverr. So first thing, when we go, and actually you will need to become a Seller Plus member in order to have these features. You will be able to have the promotion feature and the coupon feature. So this is the first kind of like the feature that Fiverr gives to us, to the Seller Plus subscribers, but in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. So when you are looking here and you are checking the first time buyer promotions, this feature is very useful. So what I do is I enable a discount for all the new potential buyers that are coming to my gigs, and in that page you will see the message which says take advantage of the 10% off. They will also see like a pop-up message too on your gig when they are checking your gig page, and it's encouraging people to take an action. It's encouraging people to use that offer. So this is definitely great, because when I enable these offers, I usually see clients are ordering within the first 5 to 6 days. So I'm getting an extra 10 orders. The conversion is much better. The other option we have is we can send coupons. So we currently have 20 coupons available to send. And this is another great feature, because you can send the coupons, you can actually check what kind of clients you can send them to. So for example, if I go and send a coupon here, I will be able to see the buyers that are currently listed. I'll be able to see their order price. I'll be able to see when they have ordered the last. I'll be able to see if they have used the coupon or not in the past. And I can also search for those buyers as well. Very useful two features, so I'm definitely recommending that, and I'm definitely seeing a lot more, let's say, result sales with this promotion method. The other one, it's promoted gigs. So there's a lot of controversy about this feature, because some people are saying that they're using promoted gigs. When they turn it off, Fiverr deranked their gigs. So in my case, I think it's very simple. So if you want to use promoted gigs, you need to look at how your gigs are performing. So for example, if your gigs are performing quite well with organic and you're thinking to boost more sales, yes, promoted gigs might work well, because you'll be getting extra clicks, extra impressions, right, and extra orders as well. So in this case, you can see with the promoted gigs, I was able to get here extra 13 orders. It might not be a lot, but still, it's an extra $2,000. I spent $345, so it's definitely not bad at ROI. Then I got extra 3 orders here, I got extra 3 orders here, I got extra 6 orders here, and I got an extra 2 orders here. So in total, I spent $1,146 and 61 cents, and I got $5,614 and 30 cents. So yeah, it definitely works. But again, if you're not seeing traffic like right now organically, you probably should not use promoted gigs, because you might be just burning money, and eventually you might also hurt your gig ranking too, because when you start to switch it on and off, it does make an impact in the search as well. Okay, so show promotable gigs only, that's the feature you can just select based on other gigs. Okay, so and you can also manage your daily budget. I believe right now Fiverr doesn't allow you to, so it does allow you to put $50 as the maximum, so that's what you can put. For example, the last month it was actually performing a bit better. You can see I got 7,000 in sales. This month is 5,000 in sales, which is not bad as well. Okay, so the next features which you can expect, let's say the next sort of like ranking where you can get, is by the actually category. So if we go to the, let's say, incognito, if you go to the Fiverr and search for the Fiverr, so we have several places. We have the general marketplace where you have all of your gigs. In this case, we can click on the subcategory, for example, category digital marketing, subcategory social media marketing, and we can see everything that is happening here. So you can see your gigs, you can see you know, multiple gigs. You can see by the category, by everything. So everything is included here. This is one place. The second place, if we are gonna go into, let me just double check the third page. And again, I will say every week this sort of ranking gets changed. So 1 week it's going to be like this. The second week it's, you know, you always have chances to get ranked higher. It looks for the reviews you have, for the private feedbacks you're getting, for the reviews that you're getting in the last week. So it does factor a lot of those things. This is the first place. The second place, if you become a Fiverr Pro, you will be able to rank in the Fiverr Pro section. So in this section, we can go, for example, to the social media manager section, and you can find your gigs here. So this is one of the places where you can look for the gigs. You can also go the same as you went with the categories, and you can find them based on the categories. So for example, one of my gigs are here. In this case, we are searching for by default for the sellers. So you can see the sellers there first, right? So you can see based on their you know, like reputation, etc., etc. So this is by default, we will see the sellers, and we can also see the gigs if we click on the gigs section. So let's just go back here in the home page. So Fiverr gives you these options, right? You can also search for the skill. This is kind of like the third sort of category. You will be able to get ranked based on those keywords. You can do this the same in the pro section. You can do this the same in the regular marketplace. When someone searches for the keyword, they will be able to find the gigs based on that keyword. And that's why those keywords are important, because you will be able to rank on those keywords when people are searching. So those are the places. Of course, if you go more and more in detail, you will be able to, you know, find these options like Instagram, platform, everything. So this is just another options that you can have. So let's go back into our here. So again, you have multiple options. We have the ranking, which is the usual ranking. We have the promoted gigs. We have the coupons. We have the promotion, which is just for the seller plus members at the moment. And I think Fiverr in the future is definitely going to be implementing more ways. Also, what you might see when we search, for example, Instagram marketing services, let's say here, we will also see that Fiverr has their own pages as well, where they can drive traffic to those people. For example, in this case, you can see people who are doing the paid ads. We can also search for Instagram marketing services. Let's take a look at this page as well. And you can see here, well, I think it's because, let's just double check this in incognito just to be safe. And just close this page and open this one. Okay, so just to be safe, we can find this link again, and you'll be able to see, or we can just search for Instagram marketing services, and we should be able to see the same Fiverr. Let's change it to English. And then, for example, need help with the social media. Let's take a look what they have here. And then also they have this page, which we just saw. And that's pretty much it for now. So again, okay, so in this page they have, you can see my gigs is on the top, which is cool. Also some other competitor gigs as well. We can go into this section here, and we can also search for, just let's allow this Fiverr to, okay, so looks like Fiverr is Google Chrome is blocking this sort of cookies, so that's why it makes it a little bit strange to show, but yeah, now we can see everything properly. Okay, so yes, so you can see the gigs are here. You can see this is another gig page, which I see my gig right here as well. So Fiverr has those internal pages that they drive traffic to differently, and on the social media itself, they also drive traffic to the whole digital marketing section, like social media marketing section. So it definitely creates some sort of like an extra boost to you. So again, you have two options. You can, of course, drive traffic outside of Fiverr, and we discussed about these options, and you have an options where you drive traffic within the Fiverr. Another thing that you can do, of course, you can collaborate with other freelancers, and other freelancers might be recommending your service. In exchange, you can recommend their service. Sometimes we have, for example, I have sellers who are focusing on the paid ads, and I don't do paid ads. So whenever someone asks me for paid ads, I refer to that person, and that person the same. If someone asks them about Instagram growth, and he refers to me, and we do this sort of like exchange. It's not against Fiverr, it's just like a recommendation, but at the end of the day, it will be nice when Fiverr will have certain ways of how they can kind of like keep this as a good system for both sellers, because it definitely works. Every seller has a lot of traffic, a lot of messages are coming, who is at the top, so why not doing these sort of things? So again, hopefully that was useful, and thank you so much for your time and watching this lesson. Let's talk about everything about ranking your gig on Fiverr and what sort of criteria that Fiverr looks when they rank your gig. So first of all, when you're ranking your gig on Fiverr, like let's say when you're just starting on Fiverr, I think you should just forget about that. Just not think about that. Try not to find your gig on every page of the search. Just kind of like work first on optimizing. You need to make sure you have the profile picture, you need to have a gig picture, you need to have a gig video as well, you need to make sure your description is filled in. So for example, for the reference, I can show you what's happening behind the scenes in my case. So for example, let's take a look at one of my gigs here. Again, so I have all of the information. I have my videos here. You can see the gig video. I have my gig image as well. I have my packages. Everything is listed as well. Everything is included. And then I have my description too. I have highlighted reviews, description, everything is showing, my niches that I work with. And I mean, of course, I work with other niches, but on Fiverr you need to select. Then you have your gig workflow, which you can also fill it out. And then you have your information about yourself, your portfolio, your packages, and then your FAQ. So this is the first step. You need to make sure everything is filled in, all your information, everything that Fiverr allows you to do, everything should be filled. Afterwards, you need to make sure, you start getting some initial traffic. So what I mean by that is that you can, of course, go to your business gigs and you can start to analyze a little bit how your gigs are performing. So look at, for example, here, we're seeing a big decline, right? This is normal. You should not worry like, oh, what should I do? Should I change? Should I do this? It's obviously a normal behavior on Fiverr. Sometimes you might have good results, sometimes not. So that's why, but this should not be stopping you. This should not be like a trigger that, oh, you need to change your things. Because first of all, the key to success on Fiverr is that you can have multiple gigs, which is good because you can see every gig is giving you chances to get ranked higher. Well, let's take a look at this gig, for example. This one is also going down, but every gig has a chance for you to get ranked higher, and that's what is very, very important, right? So this one, for example, here, it does actually work also pretty well, and then the content creator, it's also going down. So okay, it's not a bad, I mean, it happens. Now, what Fiverr looks at your performance? First of all, you need to understand there are two types of feedback. You have public feedback and you have private feedback. So when you complete the work, your customer is going to be ranking you for like leaving a rating publicly, which will go as a public in your profile. So you can go to your profile here, for example, and then they will pretty much, it's going to show up here. So that's one of the ways. And then the private feedback is the feedback that it's not visible to you, but it's visible to Fiverr. And this is the biggest factor for Fiverr to rank your gig. It will either rank higher or lower, based on that feedback. You will, of course, have other sort of sections, like, for example, your order completion, your delivery on time. This will also factor in, but the private feedback is the most important factor. So that's why when you deliver your order, you can't ask for 4 or 5-star feedback. This is not allowed by Fiverr. But what you can do is that you can encourage your buyer to rank your gig. So you can, leave a rating, right? So basically rate your work, right? You can say, I'll really appreciate if you have time to rate my service. It will help me grow on the platform. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure working with you, right? Being nice, being friendly, it will make a difference on the buyer. The buyer will see, and eventually, maybe if they were not like very, very happy, eventually they'll be like, okay, it's not a problem. I appreciate your work. Of course, not everything is perfect in this world. So I think this will, help you with getting your Fiverr. It will definitely help you with getting it higher and higher. So this is what you can do. Another factor which you should think about is that Fiverr does look as well and how often the buyers are leaving the feedback. So for example, let's say in the last 7 days you didn't have any feedback. So that's not ideal, because that tells that there's not much sort of like regular traffic or regular completion, because Fiverr might see that you're extending your orders too much or something is going wrong. So they're less likely to push this kind of gigs. If they are seeing that you're getting consistent feedbacks, for example, I have 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 1 day ago. So it's going pretty consistent, right? And you can see within a week, we're definitely getting a lot of feedbacks, right? I mean, we also have not the best feedback sometimes, but it's just part of the game. It's part of the game. You should not be like upset about that. And at the end of the day, every buyer has a right to leave any feedback that they want. Of course, if they start to, let's say, kind of like, I don't know, saying some strange things to you, it's against Fiverr, and you can, of course, contact the support, and they will be able to help you remove this feedback, or making sure that everything goes with the terms of service of Fiverr, right? But getting frequent feedback is very important, and that's another important factor about ranking your gig. The other things which you want to check and making sure that you are, so here we go back to the feedback, to the incognito. If you go to your section, right, for example, digital marketing, social media marketing, very important is the best selling, right? Best selling, if you end up here, you will get the most traffic. And actually, by the time I was recording in the previous lesson, and now you'll notice that my gig was not here. My gig was all the way down. So Fiverr has actually on Monday, every Monday, they're making crazy things. They're always changing the gigs, the algorithm. So that's why Mondays are extremely important, because Fiverr is making a bunch of different changes. And then besides the best selling, you have also other parts. So you have the recommended as well, where you can end up here, and you can end up, your multiple gigs could end up here as well. In my case, I had actually several gigs before. Right now I only have this gig and this gig, so 2 gigs, but it's still pretty good. So you can end up here as well, and Fiverr, does help you with the traffic when you end up in the recommended section. And also beside the recommended section, you can also end up in the newest arrivals. Newest arrivals is the gig that you just created recently, right? And again, I think when you go to this section, gives you like an idea of what sort of like services that you see there and what people are creating, right? So in my case, this tells me, first of all, that not everyone is creating the video, including the video, and this is the biggest factor, because look, like even we are on the second page and I haven't seen anyone who has the video yet, right? Maybe I missed someone, but I don't see anyone with the video. So this tells you that if you just create a video, you'll be already, above most of the people who are creating their gigs. So these are the factors. Another factor is the keywords. So when you set up your gig, you need to include the keywords, right? If you're doing social media marketing, you need to include social media marketing, social media manager. If you're focusing like Instagram marketing, those are the keywords that you should be using. If you're doing anything else, you need to be using those keywords. This is very important. And then we have Fiverr Pro, right? We have Fiverr Pro, and Fiverr Pro does rank based on their own criteria as well. So you have multiple places. Besides Fiverr Pro, we also have Fiverr Certified. This is something that Fiverr has launched 2023, and it could be a great way if you can kind of like, if you're providing, let's say, there are platforms like Monday.com, if you are creating services for Monday.com, then it makes sense to become certified with Monday.com. If you're not creating services with Monday.com, then it doesn't make sense. In my case, there are some social media posting platforms, scheduling platforms, but I'm not using those specific ones. So it doesn't really make much sense for me to be certified there because I'm not using those platforms at the moment. Or if there are other platforms that I'll be using, I'll be happy to apply as certified. So don't apply everywhere. Try to see what is relevant for you and what is, not relevant. But the biggest factor with the ranking is your private feedbacks. Please don't try to participate in this exchange review system, right? There is a lot of things going on Facebook groups, on Telegram groups, where they do those exchanges. The best thing you can do is that you can, let's say, go to your family, friends, and do the service that you're providing, right? They can order your service from their own Fiverr account. You can deliver that service, you can do that service, they can leave your feedback. It's a more ethical way, and at the same time you can start small with your smaller circle and then eventually grow step by step. So guys, hope that was useful. You can always reach out to me if you want directly on Udemy. If you also want to learn more and just kind of like see more updated things about Fiverr, you can go to my YouTube channel and just learn more, obviously completely for free. And if you have any questions, you can also send me a DM on Instagram. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. Thanks so much and see you in the next lesson. Let's discuss about maintaining your reputation on Fiverr. And first thing, I would like to discuss how you can avoid negative reviews, or if you have received a negative review, how you can appropriately handle it. So the first things I would like to talk about the way how I'm able to handle the negative reviews. So right now you can see I'm showing you as an example. I received this negative review about 4 weeks ago. And of course, very important factors about negative reviews. You can have an option for the review to be removed, but the review have to really, like the buyer have to say something, bad about you, like some maybe even curse words or something that it's completely irrelevant, right? So when the buyer, let's say, threatens you in the review, then you can remove it. In other cases, honestly, you can always try, but the biggest thing for Fiverr, what I've seen, is that, let's say, in my case here, the buyer provided strange is the best word I can use to describe. The vendor seems too busy to help, too distracted, very inconsistent with deliveries. The whole experience was extremely disappointing, right? So, and of course, we always tend to defend ourselves, right? But in this specific order, the client was actually receiving some great results. The problem is that the client, it was either his, let's say, assistant or team member who was in charge, and the second, the buyer just really didn't understand how Instagram works in general. So, and because I was providing an updates on a weekly basis for this specific buyer, so when I asked Fiverr to take a look at this case, they didn't really find anything that went against the terms of service for the buyer, right? So the Fiverr says that the buyer has the rights to leave their expression, their impression, the feedback, impression of your service in the way they want, right? So if they felt that this is not something they wanted, that's their rights. And the platform can't really remove it because, that's what they, want to express. So few things that you can do. The first thing, you can of course protect yourself before, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. But the second way is you can of course respond to this kind of feedback, and like this, when potential buyer sees that feedback, they can see your response, right? And Fiverr does allow a pretty long response now, so you can, include whatever you feel appropriate for this order. I wouldn't worry too much. It's normal. If you go to like a restaurant, if you go to a hotel, right, you will see all these different reviews. Of course, I understand on Fiverr that it impacts your, gig ranking, impacts your sales. Yes, it sounds crazy, right? But unfortunately, we have to play with the rules of the platform. And if we're putting ourselves on the platform like Fiverr or any other platforms, Upwork, we need to play by their rules, and we need to also accept some sort of let's say challenges that this could come out, right? So the best way I will say is to respond appropriately to this feedback, include of course any irrelevant information. In this case, we still were able to gain a really good results, good increase in engagement, good increase in exposure, right? But unfortunately the buyer is just, you know, it is what it is. So this is the first thing. You can always respond, you can always provide, don't also rush it, you know, to respond, because many times when we receive the bad feedback, we tend to like rush it, you know, like, oh no, you know, just keep it patient. You can always reach out to the buyer, right? And like, you know, ask their, you know, if they, you know, felt something was wrong, if they, you know, maybe ask for their suggestions, just like keep a nice communication, just so like this, because just remember, anything you say on Fiverr, it cannot be deleted, right? So if you're trying to become a bit over emotional, or if you try to be, you know, kind of like, you know, too direct in a way that you're maybe a little bit more aggressive, it could come to you in a bad way. Because at the end of the day, for Fiverr, when they see something that you've done maybe wrong, right, mistake, they might punish you really hard. And unfortunately, you can even lose your account, right? So it just doesn't work. It's not worth it. So you can obviously throw your emotions, you know, maybe in your room or in your, I don't know, outside, you know, just kind of like, just throw it out there. But when you're communicating on Fiverr, you just need to accept it, and you just need to handle this appropriately. So that's what we need to do. And, you know, I think that's what at the end of the day we need to accept as well. I also had some other negative feedback here, and you know, I'm just responding to them. Like this one was, I think it was way too long, but it's not, I mean, it's normal, right? So at the end of the day, when you look at the ratio of like, you have, you know, 14, let's say here, we will not count, let's say 3-star, 14, you know, bad negative reviews out of, you know, like 4,000, right? So it's, the ratio is very high, and then telling that, you know, you're definitely doing something right. So take your time when you're responding, and don't worry like super much. Yeah, it hurts, but you know, you need to move on, and there are a lot of good things on the platform that you can achieve for yourself. Okay, so besides, you know, responding and how you can potentially avoid, first thing, I want to show just a bit how I'm describing my service in the FAQ. I think this is important because the FAQ, it could protect you big time, right? So in the FAQ, you can have your terms of service, you can have all of this information, right? So you can just kind of like, you know, warn your buyer before they purchase. Because in my case, when they're purchasing my service, they are accepting the terms of service, right? So, and then they can read terms of service here. That's how you can protect yourself. Second is, I will suggest to be upfront in the communication, in the order. So for example, when the order just starts, you can tell the buyer what they should expect, right? Because that way, when you, let's even reach to the support, the customer support of Fiverr, you can always protect yourself. You can always reference to this information that you have provided originally. So be careful when you're filling up the FAQ section, be careful when you're filling up the requirements section, when you start initial communication, because you can really protect yourself big time. So guys, this was specifically on this negative feedback. You know, at the end of the day, it's gonna happen, you know, at any time, even if you're running your agency directly. Yes, I mean, you can always kind of like protect, and eventually the buyer will not know where to leave the feedback, but eventually if you're going in the long term, they will go to the Trustpilot, they might go to the Google review, so they will find ways to where they can leave a feedback. So on Fiverr, I mean, you know, I don't see the negative feedback, let's say, obviously happens often, right? It doesn't happen often, but it always depends on the case. And you know, when you're growing big time, like in my case, when we're expecting like, you know, 10, 15 orders per day, you know, it could happen, of course, right? But you can solve a lot of situations beforehand, before that, receiving that negative feedback. So hopefully that was useful, and thanks so much for watching. How you can protect yourself when you have complicated situation with clients. So I would like to discuss my sort of a strategy, how I'm handling those kind of situations, and what I usually do. So first of all, when I see the buyer is some sort of like, maybe expecting a lot more than it should be delivered, or I see that he or she is not very happy with the service. So of course, the first thing that you should do is not refund that order, right? You need to work together with the buyer, because many times I see the buyers, they might order your service at first, and then at the beginning they'll be like, oh, I want to change this, I want to change that. And the best way to handle this situation is to, of course, be super proactive with the communication. That way you're able to work together with the buyer, and you can, of course, say like, I'm gonna do my best to adjust it, this is what I've done, blah blah blah, right? And the best thing is, when you have a large volume, you need to track those kind of orders who requires more attention. So what I use Trello. And here, I'm just giving you as an example how you can handle those kind of situations. So first thing, you can have your team members. So usually what, in my case, I have each person has a column, right? In that column, we can create those cards, right? So the cards will be assigned to specific person who is in the specific column. So for example, in this case, I can call this monitor client. I can say, just monitor client, right? In this card, I will create checklist, right? I will put the Fiverr order here. So I'll create the Fiverr order link. I'll put it here, right? And then I can put something like, for example, maybe not happy with the quality, for example. Just a note for you, right? And then what you can do is that you can put a date. So in this case, for example, today is October 25th. I can put it on October 27, right? And then, for example, I can put here, reach out, right? And that way I'm able to, so I use Trello a lot for managing orders and clients. And that way, when I open my Trello, I will know that on October 27, I need to reach out to this client. And that way I can reach out and I can ask, how do you feel the promotion is going so far? Here's the report. So I can be a bit more proactive in the support with communication. And that way your buyer is going to see that you're proactively trying to improve it, trying to work in the same direction. So that's going to help you a lot on the satisfaction level. So when the buyer is going to be rating the order, the service, he will be considering that you've been proactively communicating with him. That way it's kind of like gives you a lot of sort of trust and credibility. So that's going to look really good, because in my case we have around 300 active orders, and of course I'm not able to follow up with every single order. So when I take care of the communication, when I respond to the messages, I see some clients are maybe require more attention than others, right? Doesn't mean that I'm not doing it for others, but others are kind of like understanding what is happening and they're happy with the progress. Other clients, they're just kind of like they want to be really proactive. But I usually see that they are really proactive at the beginning, and then throughout the campaign they become less active. So, and of course you can still be on top of your communication, and that way you can, instead of going for like a refund, you can just deliver your work that is done. I don't recommend to even if the client is happy, unless they go like, can you cancel this order? I don't feel that it's going in the right direction. Of course, then you can refund. But if the client is not happy, I wouldn't suggest to refund it. So I would suggest to try to be a bit more proactive, right? And I will suggest to also do something extra. We're going to talk in the next video about what you can do, but I will suggest to do something extra, provide some maybe extra like service, or send him like an analysis, right? Those kind of things that you can just kind of like give more value, because you don't want to lose that client. At the end of the day, if the client is not very happy, it doesn't mean that he's gonna leave a negative review to you, right? Of course, he can still leave a negative private feedback, but if you've been proactively communicating, if you've been, giving more value and more attention to this client, it's definitely going to pay off. So you're going to have much better results and much better also outcome from this campaign. And also don't forget, so for example here, you can always make cards for yourself so you don't forget about certain things, right? And that way you can, for example, when you need to reach out to the client on this date, instead of just archiving the card, you can just set it to, let's say, 29, and then you can reach out again in about 2 days, and you can also be proactive. So that way you can just collect all these Fiverr orders with the clients that you need to be more proactive, and that way you're able to really stay on top of the communication and on top of this campaign as well. So Fiverr order completion rate is one of the most important factors. And when we look at, for example, at our, in my case, my sort of progress, first thing we see this sort of graph, right? So we have inbox response rate, we have inbox response time, we have order response time, delivered on time, and order completion. In my case, I think order completion is the most important because it's not, it's more, I would say, it relates to the actual order. So here in this case, I will just go quickly through. In order to have 100% inbox response rate, you need to just reply to the timer messages. Timer messages is the first time that the potential buyer sends you the message in the inbox and you see that sort of timer on it, right? And you need to respond within 24 hours. Based on your response, it will determine how fast you respond on those timer messages. So in my case, right now it's 6 hours, so that means it takes me an average about 6 hours to respond to the timer messages. If you do this faster, you will get better response time. Next one is the order response rate. So order response rate, it actually reflects directly on the messages that you receive in the order page. But these messages, they get count when they have a check mark. Question mark, right? So when the buyer sends a question mark, it will go into this sort of timer and you need to respond within 24 hours. That will also showcase how fast you respond. The next thing is delivered on time. This is very straightforward because you can see delivered on time. You basically need to make sure you deliver on time. You don't go into the order late, right? So you don't, you deliver this on time and it doesn't go into the late order. Another things just to remember, I'm just gonna show you here in this order, like this, you can also keep in mind. So a few things about this page and delivering the order, right? So the first thing you need to understand, right now you can extend delivery time. And when you extend delivery time, you can extend here. If the buyer doesn't respond within 2 days, it's gonna extend automatically, which is great. Fiverr has never done this before. So that way, if you need more time, you can always request for extension, and if the buyer doesn't respond, it will still extend automatically. That's how you can protect yourself. And the second thing is when you go and request a resolution center, you can request for partial refund or for full refund, like you can basically provide a full refund. And when you do that, it will also take 2 days. If the buyer doesn't respond, it's gonna cancel right away. So I will suggest you to make sure when you look at the timer, to make sure that it has at least 2 days, because if it's at least 2 days, you can make some modifications which doesn't require your buyer to do. So that's gonna really save you. And going back to the order completion here, so when you get your order canceled, of course, I suggest to try to, of course, go and submit that request to the customer support. Just be careful if it's like very obvious that the buyer is not happy because of your work and it's not something they expected. It's gonna be harder to not count this, because the support is gonna tell you like, hey. In this case, she was writing something different, but she will say, hey, I cannot cancel it because the buyer is not happy with the service. So it's going to count towards your cancellation rate. There are a few ways of how you can, not walk around, but just ways how you can still protect yourself. First thing, when you're canceling an order and when you're communicating with the buyer, you need to mention that this is not something that is done within your scope of work, right? Because let's say if the request something is not in the scope of work, it's not your fault that that you have to cancel it, that they're not happy. It's not your fault, it's just you don't do. For example, if I'm not doing paid ads and they want results with the paid ads, it's not my fault because I don't do paid ads and I'm very clear what I do exactly in this gig. So that's why I think you need to be straightforward. You just need to be saying like, you don't offer this service, you offer that service, and that's pretty much it, right? So this is important, and that way the support team will be able to not count this towards your completion rate, and that's going to help you improve your completion rate. Don't be don't think that if they if you're canceling, it's just gonna count, right? So you can still have the chance. And I suggest to go, it's not gonna hurt if you ask, if you know, at the end of the day, the support team is going to say yes or no, right? It's just not going to hurt. So I suggest to always double check with the support, making sure you can, you know, reach out to them, ask their assistance, explain your situation as well, say what, you know, happened as well, blah, 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 right? And they might help you. Sometimes you will have maybe one response from support who say no, and then another support team member could say yes. I will not suggest to manipulate the system and just like, you know, because the problem is when you, for example, submit, in my case, if I submit this case and I include the order number, for example, here, like when you submit the case, you have to include the order number, and if you submit it again and include the same order number, they're gonna merge and it's not gonna go in the ticket, right? So just be careful, because when you submit it for a second time with the same order, at least just put the other order. So like this, it will still go through their system. So otherwise, if it's the same order in that field, when you put, because you can only put one, it will create like a merge, and then eventually the ticket will be closed itself because you already had a ticket like this before. So guys, again, those factors are important. Yes, I see a lot of people as well, like in the groups of Fiverr, they say, oh, my inbox rate is less than 90%. Can you guys send me messages so I can improve it? In my case, I think this is like, it goes more to your discipline, you know. Order completion is a bit different. It's more complicated because there's a lot of things could go different in the Fiverr order. So that's why, I mean, it's a bit more complicated, but inbox, it's very straightforward. You're getting messages with a timer. You need to respond with the timer within 24 hours. So your percentage is not going to go lower. So, but again, I understand every situation is different, and in my case as well, like I understand, like let's say if something happens to me, right, and I'm not able to respond, of course it's going to create a lot of complications. So every case is different, I totally understand, but still those factors you can control somewhat more than the order completion, but those are the tips I will suggest for you to implement. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions as well, and thank you so much for watching this lesson. I want to show you one of my strategies on how you can turn, let's say, an angry client into a positive client. And this strategy involves recording a video. So you can record a video of yourself, you can record a screen of, let's say, if you need to show something to your client, but that way it's going to make the experience a bit more personalized. And then, for example, you can see here when I'm delivering an order, I'm also including the video. This is not, it always depends. Sometimes I do more like a personalized video. In this case, this is not let's say a very personalized, it's more like a generic video, but you can see this video, it basically explains the progress, it explains you know, giving a heads up what the client should expect in the next, let's say, few days, and it encourages the client as well to go, for example, for longer term work, such as like a subscription, such as building you know, a longer term relationship as well. But when we have a video like this, it automatically gives you more social proof, it gives you more trust. And the clients, what I'm seeing is that they are reaching out to me and they are interested to continue the collaboration and continue to work. So you can, of course, do this in multiple ways. You can send this as a delivery. You can also send this in the inbox as well to the client. You can send this as a separate message. But doing those kind of videos are super powerful. And especially when I see the clients, sometimes they're not very like understanding the process. I do sit there and just record a video going over the process, going over the steps, and that way I'm able to eventually make them trust me more and also make them kind of like stick to our plan. Because many times, sometimes it's just, there's a lot of misunderstandings as well, could be right with the buyer because they might expect you something different, and that way it makes me stay on track. And you can, again, you can record a screen, you can record a short video of yourself. Doesn't need to be like super edited. You can just take your phone, record a video. In other cases, I remember I was also using a Fiverr app and I was just sending a video inside of the Fiverr app, just recording on my phone, like a selfie video and explaining about the process. This also works because it's different, right? I mean, of course, some buyers are not like maybe they don't expect you to send them a video of yourself talking, but that way it makes it a lot more personalized, and at the same time the experience will change. You know, I would say if they're not happy, it will turn into 180 degrees, because it will really change a big, you know, throughout the campaign. You can also build experience like this in these videos. So for example, when the order is just started, you can send them the video saying like, hey, the process has been started, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what my plan is, right? You can just guide them throughout the process. And then, for example, if you need to provide them update report, you can also record a video and go over that report yourself and just explain about what it's done, what needs to be done, and that way they always stay within within your guidelines, within what is required from your service. And then at the end of the campaign, you can send them another video which will be like a delivery message, which will explain what you have done, what the next steps are, and encourages them to sign up for your services more. So I think this is super useful. Not many sellers are doing this. I started doing this back in 2018 and I got a lot of great feedbacks. You can either send this video as an attachment to the Fiverr messages you send, or you can send them as a YouTube link, because Fiverr does allow YouTube links. So you can just do either ways, and that way you can also put that link, for example, in the requirements section, so they can just double check if anything is important, the information, and you can just send those links throughout the order and the conversation you have with the buyers. So feel free to try to experiment this strategy, but it's gonna really make your experience a lot more high-end on Fiverr for the buyers. Not many people are doing this. Very, very small percentage, maybe not even like a percentage, because it's makes it unique. It takes some time to do this, but I think that's what really plays out as a big role in my situation as well. How do I manage all of my orders? And I'm gonna go over the main tools and the main systems that I use in order to manage all of my gig orders. So of course these are very important, because I'm not just by myself, I do also have a team as well, and that way we're able to do this effectively. In the next videos, I will talk as well how you can also hire your first team member and how you can find your first team member, what has worked for me as well. But I think this is going to be useful to just see how we're managing all of those orders. The first thing, so if you're looking at my screen right now, the first thing is we have Trello. Trello is one of the main components because we use it for effectively assigning the tasks. So we do have our team members in the Trello. We do have different columns. So for example, how I do this for everyone. So first, we also have a content creation column. We have content management. So we have those two columns, and we have another one, schedule. Right? So basically, here's the thing with the content. We have orders for content creation, we have orders for content management, and then we have for schedule, right? So in this case, when we have content creation, we are also, what we are doing here, we also have this one ready to deliver. And that way, when we have a content creation clients, and when one of our team member completes, for example, we can put client number 1 content, just an example. We can put client number 2, for example, management, MGMT. And then here, for example, let me just do another column, send for approval. Okay, so that way you will be able to see it here. Okay, so it has a few columns, but that way we're able to do this effectively. So for example, we have a client number 1 for content, right? We have all of the information for that client. So we are writing out all the information they provided, logo, branding elements, the fonts, as well, link to the Fiverr order, right? So all the information. And then we have a checklist where we are creating the post. So we have post 1, for example, here we have post 2, and etc. Right? So for example, if the client has 9 posts, so we're going to have it up to 9. In this example, let's keep it 3. So when the team member is working on that content, they he or she will be able to check mark. So if they do post 1, they will check mark post 1, they'll do post 2, they'll check mark post 2. So that way we're able to track. If we have, for example, client that orders, let's say, 18 posts. So what we'll usually do is we will make, for example, something like 1 to 9. That means we are creating 1 to 9 posts, and then we will separate this into 9 to 18, right? So that way we're breaking down 18 posts into two cards. You don't need to do that. Sometimes we do that just to be more effective between the teams. So like this, we can just effectively manage all of the work when you have a lot of work, but you don't need to do that, of course. You can just start by having one card for one client. So once the team member has completes the card, we will basically assign it for ready to deliver, and then another person will check all the content to make sure everything is in line, and then once it's done, we will deliver the order and we'll just archive the card. So that's pretty much it. For the management, it's the same. We're creating the content, then we're sending for approval to the client. Once the client approves, we will then go and proceed it to the schedule. So that's kind of like how we are able to manage this effectively. And then for other columns, we have for each team member, they have a column, right? So for example, I do have Cos, he's working on the growth side. So for example, let's say if we have a client who wants to adjust the targets, adjust the audience, I will usually put target adjustment here. And in this column, I will put a checklist where it has a Fiverr order, Fiverr link to order. And then I put some notes. For example, wants the US audience, say here, and then maybe I can put also just an example. We can copy this, we can do another one, and then for example, not happy with the growth, right? So like this, he knows what we should do if we need to improve the quality or if we need to improve the growth, so we can make those necessary adjustments. So that's how it's done. And I always put the date. So I put the due date today if we need to get it done today, and then eventually if we need to do something tomorrow, I'll put the date tomorrow. So that's how we're primarily using Trello. Now we are also using a Google Sheets. So in the Google Sheets, we will break the orders into different sort of sections, right? So for example, if there's a current order, we'll usually add the Fiverr username, we will add the order number, we'll also put some notes that are relevant in these columns, right? And like this we can track, and also we'll put the status. So the status is active or needs to do some modifications, and we'll usually also highlight it with a color, right? So I'm not going to go like super in detail because of course for every service is going to be different, but this is just an idea for you how you can manage these orders as well. Next, we have also check if accepted. So some clients we extend the delivery if we need to, and we usually move this order in the check if accepted. So like this, we know that this client should accept the delivery date. So like this, we can work with a new delivery date. The next one, we have check for renew. So if we have a subscription and the subscription might not renew automatically due to the issues, due to the payment, we will always put this order into the check for renew. Once I deliver the order, I put it check for renew, and we just monitor to make sure the client has renewed. If the client has renewed, it will move back to the current. If the client has not renewed, then we will basically, let's say, cancel and stop working on their account as well. Request for extension. So here we will basically put an order for we'll put an order for multiple reasons. So for example, if we again need to if we need to extend this order potentially in the future, we will put this that we need to send an extension, right? Or if we are, for example, similar with check if accepted, right, we will put it there just by different reasons. For example, you don't need to have this graph, but this is just an example. In our case, we're using it as well. This one, request for refund sent to Fiverr support. So these orders are ordered by mistake, order that client didn't know what he or she ordered, right? So we put these orders there. So like this, I can send them to the support so they can review these orders, and then the orders that they find not basically ordered by mistake, they will not count them towards the completion rate. Video review and consulting. So those are the people who are ordering this extra, and we put them specifically there because that way I'm able to review them, I'm able to work on them, and I'm able to complete them as well. And then the last one, we have extras. when the client order an extra, we'll put everyone who has ordered an extras. So like this, we don't lose track of those, because extras could be different things, and we usually like to keep this separately so we can track this more effectively. So guys, this is how the management is done. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully you can maybe implement some things that we are doing as well from our side, and implement it for your Fiverr journey as well. Thank you so much for watching. How you can scale your sales even more to your Fiverr profile. And one of the most important things is creating your website which represents your Fiverr agency. So in this case, I'm gonna go over how you can take it to the next level, because when you only have your Fiverr profile, sometimes it's a bit confusing in terms of like if someone asks you what's your agency website or what's your website, and you have to just provide the link to your Fiverr. Instead, you can build a nicely looking website which represents your agency, and that website could lead all of your order sales to the Fiverr. That way you can even share this website with some of your potential buyers, but you have to be careful not having any sort of forms or contact forms, because the main goal, the idea is to make sure that they will place still an order on Fiverr, right? So let's take a look at some of the examples. The first example, I want to show you one of my examples from my agency, and we actually go currently through a big rebranding on the website, so it will be updated probably in the next few weeks. But this is how it looks. So you can see it represents it has a video, it has key features, factors that we do, it has the portfolio, and then it has the reviews as well, and afterwards a call to action. So call to action is very simple. We're bringing people to this gig right here, and that's how people can find the service and place an order. So this is one of the options. You also have another option where you can actually build a website like this. You can see in this case, Marco, has a very nice looking website. He showcased his offers as well, and you can see everything is redirected to the Fiverr, right? So like, for example, from here, we can go to his page and be redirected to this specific gig. So it really nicely optimized, and at the same time here, if you want to contact him, he brings you to his website. I think this is a wonderful example because it's just showcase. First of all, he can share this link with his clients that he finds off Fiverr, right? And also what you can do is that you can actually structure a BYOB links. So BYOB is bring your own business. Fiverr hasn't updated this in a long time, but it still works. So what happens is basically when someone places an order with this link that you have, you will be able to keep 20% commission if it's a new buyer who has never been signed up on Fiverr before. So Fiverr has this way of you having this specific link which you can share, and you can also make a shortener link, right? So you can use your website and just shorten the links, and that will redirect to this affiliate link. And then when the buyer places an order, Fiverr is going to give you that 20% towards the Fiverr affiliate commission, right? So you can claim those percentages back, which works for me as well, and I've seen a great results. So this is definitely very, very useful. But having a website like this gives a lot of other positive things. You can run ads to your website. You can retarget the audience. You can track website visitors. You can install Facebook Pixel. You can install Google Pixel, right, for Google Analytics. You can also do many other things as well, but the most important thing you need to remember is you can't have any tracking in terms of like having an email or having contact forms or having redirect to the sales page, right? So nothing like this is allowed. So the other things, when you create a website like this, it's always good to check with your, let's say, success manager if you have one, and showcase. You can showcase and say like, hey, this is what I want to showcase. This is what I have. Is it okay to have these sort of links, right? And most likely they will be happy to say yes, because it doesn't lead to any of your other channels. Like he has a SoundCloud here, but SoundCloud is allowed by Fiverr. You always have to check this, but the SoundCloud, I believe it was allowed before as the allowed links, as well as the YouTube. You can track people to YouTube channel, right? Because this is allowed links by Fiverr. So guys, feel free to, if you have any questions about it, I mean, there is multiple ways on how you can do this. You can use, for example, few website constructor. You can use something like Wix.com, right? Very simple. simple. You can use WordPress, of course, and build a website on WordPress. It's a bit more complicated, but still, it does work. You can use something like, this is the version of, this is not tilde.cc, this is another version that you can do. Great websites, very easy to make. This is another option for you to create, right? I'm personally using at the moment Kajabi. It's a bit more complicated, it's expensive. You don't really need to do that. I'm going to be switching to this Tilde Publishing because it's much better. And you can also use Wix as well, WordPress, and there's other builders as well. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions, but this is a very powerful feature to scale your Fiverr agency. Hiring your first team member. This is a very, very big step, but you will eventually have to reach this step because when you're alone, you can't really scale your Fiverr to the big numbers. And it's going to be very hard because everything depends on you. In our, in my agency, in my Fiverr currently, we have four people on the content side, content creation, content management. We have 4 people there, and we have another person who is working on the growth, right? Who is responsible for the growth orders. We do have a really good system for the growth, so it doesn't require us to have a lot of people, although we could definitely hire more people, but from my experience, it is just not necessary because when we have, more and more people, eventually, we don't really need to do that. So it's kind of like you don't want to hire also people who are, just not going to be adding as much value as you will expect. So you want to make sure you're hiring people who will actually provide you result, who will provide you the outcome. So what I suggest for you when you're first getting started, of course, to look for people who are in your circle, right? People who you can maybe trust, who you've been knowing for a long time. That's how I first hired my team member, and we still work until present, right, until today, right? It's happened in 2016, so it's been a lot of years now together, but eventually I trust him the most. He has the access to my Fiverr account. He has obviously he sees the orders, he sees all the information, all the clients, so we are able to grow. On the other side, I do have a content team as well, and some of my content team has also access to Fiverr, so they're able to see the orders, the numbers, everything. So of course it took me some time to reach to that level, trust level, but eventually you need to take these steps. You need to learn from this experience as well. Not every hire is going to be amazing, and you'll have to fire some people, you have to split, and you have to, do different arrangements. But what I can recommend you, besides your circle that you can reach out to and find, there are a few places that you can find people. I actually found my other team member from Philippines, from Upwork, another freelancing platform, and I would maybe not recommend. I mean, it still could be a good option, but Upwork has changed a lot. So what I did when I was searching for her, I looked at someone who already done something on Upwork, but it's still at the very, very beginning, meaning that they don't have an established freelancing career on Upwork, so that like this, you can still give them incentive to move out of Upwork and work with you directly, right? So you want to find this sort of a balance, because if you find someone who's already established, they will reject because it doesn't make sense, because they have their own projects, they have a good traffic, they have a good reputation, so they will, more likely to invest more time there. Compared to your compared to the freelancer who has been maybe completed a few jobs, but it doesn't see stable income from Upwork, then this could work. The other places which I can recommend is jobrack.eu. This is a great place for finding people in the Eastern Europe, right? In the Balkans. So you can find great people from Serbia, from Montenegro, from Albania, from Bulgaria. So there are a lot of places that you can find there. And I also found my team member from JobRack. So it's been a successful hire. It took some time to find, but eventually I think it's a great place to do that. The other place, if you want to find people in the Philippines, this place called onlinejobs.ph, another great place, specifically people in the Philippines. You can find them there. It's probably will take some time, but eventually it does work. All of these platforms, they do have like a fee that you will need to pay. They do have like a not free trial, but like a free option here. With the JobRack, you have to actually pay for your listing. So you can see it has a $249 option, or or you can do it, they can do it for you. So you have both options available. But with the onlinejobs.ph, you can also have, it's a little bit cheaper options there. So in my case, hiring people in Eastern Europe, in the Philippines, I do have both great experience. Of course, not everyone that you will hire will be amazing, but I think when you have platforms like this, with the job rack, I was able to see the person experience. We were able to connect over the Zoom. She was able to do some trial tasks, which I provided to her, and eventually it was a really good hire for us. With the online jobs, I haven't used it before. I found my team in the Philippines from the Upwork, from this person, and then eventually she was able to help me find more people from her circle, right? And again, I would say it's a successful, very successful hire. This person is still working with me, and we are still, like, we're progressing, she's progressing, so I think the relationship is definitely going in the right direction for this sort of collaboration. So 2 places, JobRack, onlinejobs.ph. You can also look at Upwork. Those are the places good. You can also do like an Instagram ad on Instagram, but I find it the best is always to, so you can see their portfolio, so you can see, because if they're on platforms like JobRack, most likely they already had some experience. They already had experience working with agencies or in the similar position, so that will be potentially a much better hire for you.